This is Windshield Hoops. What's going on, everybody? This is James Adams, J. Wilder Adams. That's my, broadcasting name. My name is James, too, if you guys don't know. But alongside Charlie right here, Fallon, he was with us in our second episode, as well as Zach Radine, as always, who can't seem to get his microphone figured out. Every single episode for some different reason. This time it's your computer. I don't know. Your liability.
It's the computer today. It's still only at 24% on the update. So that's been a show this morning. That's been a really fun time. But yeah, this should work today. I mean, we got a fun show ahead of us, so hoping this is still really good.
Yes, indeed. We got a ton going on. Before we get started, I'll just mention some stuff we'll do. So, as always, we got Stock Risers of the Week. Who would you rather build around? We have a new series that we're going to do every single week on top of those two, called Draft Pick Trivia, which one person mentions random players in the NBA or notable players not in the NBA, and you have to, infer or tell what draft pick that player was. Not like college trivia, but like draft pick trivia. We're going to talk about the OKC Thunder, ranking our contenders, pre-March Madness lottery mock. We are going to randomize the order via Tankathon. What is up with Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies? I'm sure we've all seen stuff on Twitter regarding that. Is Damian Lillard the best scorer in the NBA? Charlie says some wild things. We'll address that. Quin Snyder to Atlanta. And yeah, that's the entire show today, guys. So super excited. And I think the most appropriate way to start out is just giving our stock risers of the week. Charlie, you go first.
For me, I'm going to take Damian Lillard's teammate, Cam Reddish. With the Knicks, he was getting 20 minutes a night, averaging 8 points a game, shooting poorly from the field and really badly from three. And he doesn't really do much outside of scoring, so when he can't shoot, there's no real reason to play him. But in Portland, he's been offered a bigger opportunity with 30 minutes a night. Putting up 14 points, 47% from the field, 39% from three. And I mean, again, he's not doing much off the ball, but he's a solid defender. He's a bigger wing, and he's been playing pretty good for a Portland team that has not been playing pretty good.
Yeah, that's to say the least. Zach?
Yeah.
I'm going with, I know we're going to be talking about this guy in other segments today too, but Jalen Williams from OKC has been absolutely a baller. Recently, he's got 20 plus in his last 4 games, over 15 a game since the new year started, 13 a game on the year. He's really looking like one of the better players in this, 2022 draft class, and the Thunder got him in the late lottery. And I really think he's a great franchise player for this team down the road. And we'll talk about the Thunder in a few segments here, but that team's looking really good, and he's a big reason because of that in the future. And they really hit on that draft pick.
So, Charlie, I told you before my show who I was going to pick, and I changed my mind last second. I was going to pick Tyrese Haliburton, who's been great, but he's been honestly great all year, and he's gotten that recognition. So I'm going to shift the most predictable pick ever for me. Charlie knows what I'm talking about. I am going to go Jaden McDaniels for stock riser of the week. And let me tell you why. Post All-Star break, averaging north of 14 points a game. He is getting more and more rebounds, which is his biggest weakness, right? He's only had below 4 rebounds once since post All-Star break, and he had 3. And guys, the reason why I'm picking Jaden McDaniels is because he's finally getting national recognition. On top of averaging over 14 points per game in a significant stretch, like Bill Simmons is talking about him now. We're starting to see more and more buzz. Like nobody was talking about him early in the season on all defense, but now people are like, okay, this is getting pretty hard to deny. He's been, honestly, in my opinion, the best wing defender in the NBA this year. And that is at, 22 years old? And he's starting to really evolve offensively off the dribble lately. Crossovers, pick and rolls, pull-ups. And he's starting to add this floater layup thing he does where he throws it super high off the glass. And he's done that a couple times. He's really evolving offensively. His defense has remained tremendous, and he's finally getting national recognition because Bill Simmons didn't even have him honorable mention on his trade assets ranking of the top 70 players or whatever. And Bill Simmons is already admitting that was a mistake. So he's starting to get national recognition, and I'm going to keep adding fire to that.
He's been really good. I mean, he's been one of the best defenders in basketball this year, arguably the best wing defender in basketball. I mean, he's a complete outlier on all those defensive metrics, and it's about time he starts getting his recognition. He's going to be an all-NBA defender, and he's a legit, 3-point threat on offense, and he's, developing his self-creation game, which is good. I mean, he's came a long way on offense in the last, 2 years, so that's a really good sign for him, and he's going to get a big bag this offseason.
Yeah, well, 90 million, 100 million minimum.
He's getting 100. This is my prediction. I think he's getting 4,108, and I think that's probably going to be an overpay, like in the short term at least. But Minnesota has honestly no leverage because what does Minnesota do if Jaden McDaniels leaves?
Yeah.
Replace him with Kyle Anderson. Yeah, Kyle Anderson.
They're actually he's like the biggest hope in Anthony Edwards' window. Like if they lose him, they're toast. And he's everything that roster needs. So I think Minnesota's going to have to pay him what he wants. So
bad teams have lots of money, and they would love Jaden McDaniels. So exactly. I would be very surprised if McDaniels got less than 4 years, $100 billion.
I would too. And I'm excited for it. I'm happy for him because that just raises my agendas I've had since year one. If he got a $100 million contract, that'd be looking sweet for me in my agenda building. But let's keep talking about Cam Reddish, in this topic, because is Cam Reddish saving his NBA career right now? Is that legit happening?
He's shooting the ball really well. I mean, this has just been a stretch since being traded. It's been about 10 games. And he seems just more comfortable. But I don't think this is he's a free agent this offseason, right? Yeah. I don't think this is changing the contract that he would have gotten in free agency by much. He might get an extra year now instead of being those players that you sign on a chance after their rookie contract is up and you're maybe this guy could do something off the bench for us. I think Cam Reddish is no longer in that group of player. He's now in the group of players where it's this guy can do something for us, but I'm still not really quite sure how sustainable this is because again, the real difference in his so I'm not sure yet. I hope so. He's a cool player. He's a nice guy from what I've heard, and he's pretty athletic. So I hope he stays in the league.
Do you think Mo Bamba is his contract comp? Ideally, right? Mo Bamba had a down year last year, and he kind of rose up late. And instead of being a 1 year minimum guy, he became a 2 year, $20 million guy. Do you think that's in the cards for Cam?
I think Cam could get $35 million.
Whoa! Over how many years?
3 years. It's a similar contract to what you're mentioning. I think it's a little more. But I think at Ross, a team like Sacramento, Cam Reddish is a way of improving without spending an exorbitant amount of money. If they lose Malik Monk in the free agency, because I believe he's on a 1 year. And then I think a lot of teams off the top of my head, Atlanta actually, surprisingly, would love to have him back. I think Toronto would be a place where he could sign because he's still young. He's still on the Scottie Barnes timeline. So I think he could get some money, but I don't think he's getting the 4 years, $100 million we were just talking about with Jaden McDaniels.
Zach, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been happy to see him succeed in Portland. Just hope he continues to do this over more sample size of games. Portland's not really gonna. I don't know if they'll make the play-in tournament at this point. There's not room for them really. The Lakers are pushing in there, and you got the Pelicans in there still. I don't think the Jazz really fall out. So I mean, it's a good opportunity to start in legit basketball games, but you're not really competing to win at the highest level yet. But I'm just hoping the sample size gets bigger with him because. I mean, he's got the talent, but we just need to see more from him.
I can see them sliding into 10. I mean, the Pelicans are free falling right now. They look like an absolute disaster, and I'm not sure that's going to change.
In the standings right now, Portland, the Lakers, and the Pelicans are all tied for the 10th seed and for the 9th seed. So they all have the same record along with the Jazz.
Utah fell off too. Are they 12 now?
the Jazz, Lakers, Pelicans, and Blazers all are 31 and 34 right now. And so
Mm-hmm.
they're all in the 9 to 10 area. And so if like one team, in my opinion, I think the Lakers are going to go on a little bit of a run here to close out the season. So I think the Lakers and I think the Jazz stay in. I think the Pelicans fall out. I think the Blazers fall out.
Okay. You think the Jazz stay in?
But
They're like trying to lose right now. Like they're losing to the
Lauri
Spurs, like that now.
Lauri Markkanen is too goddamn good. Lauri Markkanen.
Anthony Davis kind of good too.
Well, no, I think the Lakers are going to get in. That's what I'm saying. I don't. Utah might fall out. I could see Utah, Portland making it, but I don't think the Pelicans will. Zion's done.
Do you guys think, Zach? We'll talk about Jalen Williams because that fits the next topic really well. But in terms of why am I forgetting my own question? In terms of what was I talking about? I just completely forgot my question. What was your last comment? Let me try to remember it.
I was talking about the 9 and 10th seed. In the West.
Trying to remember. Yeah, I'll just say this because I think I forgot my question. I don't think that's happened on the show yet, but I think the Lakers and the Blazers get in. I think the Jazz are trying to lose. I think the Pelicans are falling. Okay, now I know my question. Yes, I know my question. Do you guys think the Zion Williamson situation in New Orleans is a lot of just? Do you think the weight on their shoulders, knowing Zion might or might not come back, is affecting them? Because last year they were playing free, and the roster isn't any less talented than last year without Zion. But that team trended up late in the season, and this Pelicans team right now is free falling. Do you think it's the Zion Williamson factor influencing that, or was last year just like everything lined up?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not the sole reason, but I think maybe in the back of a lot of those players' minds are like, oh, we're fine because we got our best player coming back soon, and maybe I don't know if their mentality is just not there when it comes to the ins and outs of every game because they're just waiting on their best guy to be back, and they're not playing up to their own standards because, I mean, maybe they don't feel as pressured when he's not playing. I don't know, but I think it's very possible that they're waiting for this dude to come back, and they probably should be playing like that.
What do you think, Charles?
James stall for here's what I think, James. Last season, CJ McCollum during the playoff, the getting to the playoff stretch, CJ McCollum was averaging 25 points per game and 7 assists in February and March. He's playing probably some of the best basketball of his career. I mean, his shooting percentage was a little down from what it normally is, but he's playing fantastic basketball in that February to March stretch. And I think Brandon Ingram really kicked it up a notch at that point in the season too. And everything just kind of fell into place for them to make the 6th seed, not the 6th seed, the 8th seed. And then they had to win in the play-in, right? And so I think they got extremely lucky with 2 of their better players getting hot at the perfect moment and the roster just coalescing. This year, the roster has not done that. I mean, obviously, they've been hurt in a lot of places. I believe Jonas Valanciunas has missed games. Zion Williamson is forever, eternally injured. Brandon Ingram has missed half this season. And really hasn't gotten a chance to get in a rhythm because I feel like every time I watch a Pelicans game, he's either there or not. CJ McCollum just has not been CJ McCollum of years past to me. He seems less aggressive, less himself, which is kind of weird. And then the role players just haven't been as fired up. Jose Alvarado last year was crazy. You know what I mean? This year, he's just kind of an average backup point guard. So it's just kind of, I think their fire's not there that it was last year.
Yeah. Let's shift topics. This is making me sad for Pelicans fans.
Yeah. feel bad too.
All right, Zach, you picked Jalen Williams as the guy you want for stock riser of the week. And you can start off with this topic. Talk about Jalen Williams in the context of the OKC Thunder.
Well, I mean, this is obviously one of the better young cores in basketball. You have Chet Holmgren coming back next year. He's missed this entire season. He's a top 2 draft pick. So not only are the Thunder going to be adding another lottery pick in this offseason, they're going to be adding the top 2 guy, next year. And then you have Shea, and I just made a TikTok on this. I think this team needs to push for the playoffs next year. I think this is the last year where they should be, in the lottery. And, we recently just heard the news that Shea's minutes are going to be like limited more down the stretch of the season because they're obviously trying to lose still. And I think this is 100% the last year that they should be doing this. But, Jalen Williams hitting, it brings me even more confidence that this has to be the last year because I think he's a legit franchise pillar. I think, you have the guys at the top. I think Shea can be your best player on a good playoff team. And then, who knows what Chet becomes. The sky's the limit, it seems, with him right now. But, the problem is he hasn't played an NBA game yet. And then with Jalen Williams, Josh Giddey's been really nice. And you got some other guys in the margins. I think this is definitely one of the better young cores in basketball. And, with this draft pick, I'm hoping they can get somebody that can be connective. You don't really need like a star talent. Like this team does not need to land a number 2 pick. But if they can get somebody like Jarace Walker or like a Grady Dick that can play an elite role for them for years, that'd be perfect.
Charleston?
I'd like to mention Mark Daigneault real fast. He's not like a member of the young core, but he's a really young coach. And he's their coach, and he's done just, to me, an unbelievable job. He's my number 3 for coach of the year this year. He's led the team. He's doing great stuff with their sets. He has them running on defense, which is something we didn't see him do last year. And then guys like Jalen Williams, not the good one, but the one that was taken with the much later pick.
Yeah.
Not J-Dub, but you guys know him.
Arkansas second rounder.
Yes, sir. Arkansas second rounder. The big man. He's got him playing really well. A lot of the dudes on the fringes, Isaiah Joe has been playing really well this year. So it's not even just Giddey. It's not just like their standard Giddey, Dort, Shea, Jalen Williams core that's been playing good this year. But they got a ton of other dudes off the bench that have been coming in and performing adequate basketball for a team that honestly everyone expected to be just god-awful.
Yeah, guys. I think Oklahoma City has exceeded the expectations of every fan this year. Like, we're seeing the team trail off late. Some could argue or theorize why that's happening. That's a different conversation for a different day, though. But grand scheme, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, nobody really knew, what is Shea? What is he? Is he the franchise savior type player? This is a year ago question. Is he that, or is he a number 2? Is he in that Brandon Ingram tier? Because what we saw in the first 4 years wasn't quite that superstar leap, but this year he has taken it. Top 5 in scoring, awesome efficiency, the most efficient slasher in the NBA at the guard position, becoming just an unstoppable, super amazing shot maker. It feels like everything's come together for him this year in terms of knowing his spots, how to be efficient, maximizing his upside as a slasher. His jump shot hasn't gotten much better. He had that third year, shot 40% from 3. It's kind of trailed off since. But, he's hitting 34% of his threes, and he's still unbelievably efficient because he's taken that step, getting to the rim, being efficient around the basket, and he's arguably the best slasher in the NBA outside of Giannis and Zion, right?
A big sink in Shea's efficiency comes from all the step backs and pull up threes he takes.
Mm-hmm.
Catch and shoot, he's at 40.
Yeah. No,
he
absolutely.
can shoot the ball. It's just,
but it isn't like he was playing off ball at that significant level in his third year. He was hitting those off the dribble threes. So Shea's proven he can perhaps be at least a 1B and maybe a 1A. I'm looking at Chet Holmgren. Charlie and Zach know how I feel about him. He was my number 1 pick. last year. It was 1A Chet, 1B Paolo. I didn't care who went number 1. When Orlando took Paolo, I was happy for them because it was like Ant and LaMelo in 2020. Like Caden Mobley in 2021. You can go either or in those drafts, arguably. So that was a great pick for Orlando, but Chet could end up being one of the best players in this draft. We haven't seen him yet, but when you hear his name around NBA circles, when you have this really skinny guy and and Kevin Durant and Victor Oladipo are saying this guy's got it, that says a lot to me because guys like Chet, because of that frame and just his unorthodox path, right? He has to earn respect by showing it in front of NBA players, and clearly he's done that. So if he's healthy, I'm a huge believer in Chet being an all-star caliber player. And then Jalen Williams, guys, he's averaging over 23 points per game his last 5 games. He just dropped over 30 on 80% shooting his last game. He's been the best rookie this past couple of weeks. And you can argue he's been the best rookie for the past month, him and Walker Kessler, because Paolo's kind of fallen off, right? So Jalen Williams is looking like a stud, maybe an all-star in the future. I mean, how many shooting guards are 6'5" with a 7'2" wingspan who can operate in the pick and roll, who can score from all 3 levels, be shifty, give efforts on both ends of the floor? He checks almost every box. And Josh Giddey in his last 30 games is averaging 18, 7, and 7. His scoring is already as good as I could have ever imagined it. So you have a core 4 guys right here who have star potential. And OKC has so much assets, so much flexibility. This team needs to finally say, you know what? It's time to actually compete as soon as next year. Maybe not this year, but they have the assets to go in on veterans and nurture these kids. You can't just have a roster of 9 kids and expect to be stable. Memphis was the closest thing to that, and they're falling off the wall right now because they lack maturity. Maturity matters. You need veterans. So Oklahoma City needs to start putting around adults who can play around these kids, and that is the next step for them. But when I'm talking about young cores in the league, like it's hard to say best young core without knowing what Chet is, but you can argue this is as impressive of a young core as there is in the NBA.
Yeah, I think if like Chet didn't have this whole injury, I think OKC could be like pushing for like the 9 seed right now, just because I mean like right now, what are they, 30 and 34, and they're the 12 spot, just a few games off of that. Like I think if Chet played, they would be in the playing conversation for sure right now, instead of on the outside trying to get in, and it doesn't really look like they're even going to try to get in because, I mean, it seems pretty clear that this team, still wants to lose a little bit this year. But yeah, I'm super excited to watch the team next year. That next year, the Thunder will be one of my favorite teams to watch for sure.
Charlie?
I mean, I can't disagree with anything you guys are saying, man. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder are here. They're back after that 4-year hiatus. Sam Presti has again proven why he might be the best general manager in basketball. He's gone from the Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook core to Russell Westbrook and Paul George to Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander making the playoffs. Then he grabbed as many assets as possible, and now he's pushing the playoffs again. His rebuild took how many years? Like
2.5.
What, they were the 6th seed 2.5 years ago, right? And now they're pushing back into the playoffs again. They're going to be in the playoffs next year. I'll guarantee it right now, without injury, of course. Knock on wood, right?
Where do you guys think this team ranks among young cores?
Number one.
Number one?
Number one.
Does Orlando rival it, or?
No, not even close.
You agree, Zach?
Probably. I mean, maybe after this 2023 draft class, see where Victor lands, maybe that could change. But yeah, right now at this moment, I would probably put it number 1. I mean, it depends what you mean by young core. I mean, I would assume it's probably like 22 and under ish.
Shai,
Chet, 24, 25 and under.
Or because
Shai, Chet, Jalen Williams, or Paolo, Franz Wagner, and who's like the third dude? Suggs? Cole Anthony?
Probably Cole right now.
Cole?
Yeah, I'd probably
Carter.
Wendell Carter. Thank you. Wendell Carter, Franz Wagner. I know you love him, and Paolo Banchero, or Shea, Giddey, and Jalen Williams. That's not even including Chet, but
I take the
That's
Thunder.
close.
I'd take the Thunder. I'll take the Thunder.
Because you also have Chet in there too, so
Yeah, if you include Chet, it's no question.
yeah.
They also
But
have
Wendell
just
Carter-
the number 9
Wendell
pick
Carter's
sitting on their
really
bench.
good. Wendell Carter's really good, and I was still leaning Franz over Giddey and J Dub. And I would take Powell. I would say Che over Paolo, but it's not like a big gap. So it's close, but you can. I'll lean OKC, but it's really close.
They also just have the number 9 pick sitting on their bench. I don't really
You got to
know what's
remember,
going
too,
on.
though, Orlando has 2 projected top 6 picks this year too.
They do. Chicago, don't Chicago, you don't deserve this pick, but I kind of want you to have it just because I don't want to deal with Orlando for the next 10 years.
I have a feeling, guys. We can go back to this. I've had a tingly feeling about Cade going to Detroit. I said that on my story pre-lottery, and I have a weird gut feeling that Victor's going to Chicago. I have no clue why. I have a weird feeling it's going to be a funky team like that, and I'm not sure if fate wants Orlando to have 2 top 6 picks. So I feel like the Bulls are going to get lucky this year.
I literally just simmed the lottery on Tankathon, and the Bulls got the first pick. Literally the first sim I did.
Hold on.
That's
Show it
hilarious.
on the screen.
Yo, same here.
You see it?
No way. You got the first pick too on your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, on mine too. I just did the same thing, and the Bulls got Victor Wembanyama in mine too. So
Is this not a sign, guys? Victor Wembanyama is going to be a Chicago Bull.
This
We
is
should
a
like,
sign.
yeah, it's happening.
We should
Mark it
record
down.
this because when the lottery happens and Victor Wembanyama's Chicago Bull, we'll look like freaks.
True.
We are. We're gonna look like freaks.
I'll
It's
clip it.
Can you
automatic.
show it on your screen, Charlie? Can you show it? Or no?
Do you know how to screen share on the thing?
Let me see. Yeah. You
We should
just
really
press
know how to do
present.
this.
Press present.
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
it.
The Bulls absolutely need that, and I don't know what we're gonna do for our mock draft later here, but if the Bulls can land, a top 2 pick, that would really
Can you see
save
it?
that team's core. Because if they don't, I think they have to probably trade some guys and blow it up. Because I don't foresee that team, making it anywhere with that core.
I mean, if they were smart, they would trade everybody just fit Victor's timeline.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because that'd be kind of weird, trying to match a 19-year-old kid's timeline with your 30-year-old all-star and
Did you
DeMar.
figure out the share screen?
Yeah, I just did it.
We don't see anything.
Damn it. Hold on. One more time.
Wait,
Boom.
I got you. It's
I'm
only
doing
you
it
now.
right
No pressure.
Did you see it? It's
I don't
screen
see
sharing right
anything.
now. Are
Here,
you sure?
share screen. This is how you share a screen, y'all. Do you see it?
This is going in the podcast.
Oh, we see it now. At a stream. There you go.
There it is. There we
Look
go.
at that.
See,
So,
Chicago,
Zach, share
right
your
there.
screen.
You see it?
See, I'm telling you guys, fate is aligning.
James,
So-
he's going to call it.
I'm a
I
genie.
want Vic in the West. As a Celtics fan,
I
Vic
don't.
in the West.
Well,
Keep him out
I
of the
don't
West.
really care because I think Minnesota's going to be the East in 3 years.
Me too.
I think we're moving East in a couple of years when Vegas and Seattle get teams.
That's true.
So, I who do you guys think? Is it going to be New Orleans and Minnesota going East?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Maybe Memphis. I'm not sure.
It might be. It might be Memphis and Minnesota. I know Minnesota's going to be one of the teams going East because it's so easy to just put them in the Central.
Yeah.
Memphis or New Orleans is the option. I think it'll be Memphis just because Memphis is so close to the Carolinas. It's close to Charlotte. It's close to Atlanta. compared to New Orleans, which is a little further out. But
It's close to Texas, close to like Dallas and areas like that.
I don't want to deal with Giannis 4 times a year.
I mean, I feel bad for the East, though. Like, all of a sudden, it's like, great, the West is adding 2 expansion teams. And guess what, Eastern Conference? Anthony Edwards and maybe John Morant are under conference.
We don't just keep Victor Wembanyama out of my goddamn conference. I don't want to see that motherfucker. I don't want to see him. The media will shove him in my face enough.
Okay, are you guys ready to change topics?
Yeah.
OKC has the best young core in the league. Clip it.
Clip. Zach, you know what to do. All right. Next segment. This is very subjective. I think all of our takes are subjective, but for this segment, we are ranking our contenders. So it starts with identifying your contenders, the guys who have just a very outside chance at the very least of winning a championship, and just ranking them all together. I did that as one of my recent Instagram posts on What's on Tap NBA, but we're all doing that now. So Zach, you can start out.
All right. So I saw our contenders are slightly similar. I do have a big switch up at number 4 spot though, but my number 1 contender right now, and this has changed over the last few weeks, I have the Bucks now as number 1 with the Celtics behind them, then the Suns, and then I'll talk about this team right here. I have the Warriors at 4 still because I believe this team can definitely turn on when they want in the playoffs. Their starting 5 is by far the best when it comes to plus minus. The problem is they haven't been on the court as much as you'd like. And I think when it comes to the playoffs, they'll figure out how to get healthy and such. I mean, they just won the championship last year too. Then I had the Nuggets at 5, Sixers 6, Cavs 7, and Grizzlies 8.
Charlie?
It's really hard to disagree. As a Celtics fan, it hurts me, it pains me, it agonizes me to say Milwaukee is 100% the number 1 contender in the NBA right now. They have been playing fantastic basketball. Giannis is, in my opinion, the MVP. He does it on both sides. Then it's Boston, then Phoenix. I feel like that should be the agreed upon order regarding the top 3 contenders.
Some would say Denver, right? But yeah,
I'm gonna get a little crazy here. I'll take Philly at 4. James Harden is untrustworthy in the playoffs, but the Sixers in general have a very filled out roster. They're very complete as a team. I like Golden State at 5. Then I'll take Cleveland and Denver tied for 6 and 7. I don't trust Jokic's defense in the playoffs. I feel like he gets cooked by Phoenix. It's not that I don't think Denver could win a championship. I think that Phoenix is just going to cook everyone in the West, whereas I think the East is a little more open, which is why I have more contenders coming from the East. Speaking of, my 8th contender is the New York Knicks.
okay.
They're 9-0 since the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Brunson looks like a top 5 point guard. He's not number 1. He's number 5 or number 4, but he looks fantastic. Julius Randle is playing some of the best basketball in his career leading into the playoffs, which is kind of when you want to be doing it. And their roster is, I want to say, the deepest in the league. Emmanuel Quickley, Josh Hart, Isaiah Hardenstein, Obi Toppin. They run deep. And I just don't trust Western Conference teams right now.
Even though I don't think Obi's very good. I was going to say that right now.
He's fine.
But you have guys like Derrick Rose and Evan Fournier out of the rotation. And then there's guys like Miles McBride, who I really like long term. Yeah. So, no.
Grimes has been fantastic this year.
Yeah. Yeah, Grimes and Emmanuel Quickley were just great mid-20 draft picks. I think Quickley went 25 and Grimes went 26. We'll play more of that in the trivia game.
He knows a little bit too much about draft picks, my guy.
But, yeah, so I like a lot of what you guys said. I think the Knicks are a year away. I still think this summer they need to get a Jimmy Butler-type player to solidify that. I just don't see enough firepower. I don't trust RJ Barrett. I need to see those guys in the playoffs in a half-court setting. I trust Brunson. I sort of trust Julius Randle, even though he's had a bad postseason. But I trust him enough to hit tough shots in the half court. It's just matchups, right? It's Brunson and Randle versus Embiid and Harden and et cetera, right? So, yeah, if they add a Jimmy Butler-type player just to fit the personality of that team and be a two-way shot-making wing that they want RJ to be, but so, yeah, they're kind of in that 10 range for me, but they're really good. Here are my top 8, y'all. So I'll just name my 8 contenders, okay? I'm going to name them not in order. I think the 76ers, Nuggets, Warriors, Suns, Cavs, Celtics, Grizzlies, Bucks. Those are my top 8 contenders. I haven't ranked them yet. Number 8, Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis, you still can't count out. Maybe like Ja's out for the year and it's over, but if he comes back, they're really good. You know, they're deep, they're intense, they got shot making. I don't trust the maturity of this team, and I don't trust Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson as your number 2 and number 3 guys. I think we saw that during the Clippers. Like, Jaren Jackson melted down. Did you see the end of that game? Like, Jaren Jackson just melted down. And
yeah,
Desmond Bane was forcing things. I just don't think they're good or mature enough to contend with yet. 7, Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs are awesome. Number 2 defense in the NBA this year. Evan Mobley, to me, is taking a top 45, top 40-ish player leap this year. Like, he deserves to be in the deep boy conversation, very much so. Mitchell's been great. Garland's been great. Allen's been very good. You know, I still think they're missing like a ball-stopping wing. They don't have that POA wing defender. You know? So, Isaac Okoro, like, stop it. Stop it. They need... You know, like, I thought Jay Crowder would have been great for them, even though he's not quite what he was defensively 3 years ago. Number 6, Golden State Warriors. Warriors are a theory, man. Like, they're here because of what they've done the last 5-6 years, not because of what they've done this year. This year, they've been immature, they've been injury-prone, but they're way worse on the road than at home. That isn't injury-related. That's maturity-related. You know, the vibes, it feels like a lot of ego strikes in there, like the Draymond Poole thing, you know, like Klay Thompson trying to prove that he's still really good. Like, it feels like a lot of like stars. He is very good. He's averaging over 25 his last 25 games.
He's been great.
It feels like a lot of like, I'm trying to prove myself. Like, feels like a lot of egos are getting in the way. And if I had to guess, that's likely going to be the downfall of Golden State this year. But you still have to consider the talent, the resume, as they have a chance to still put it together because they have that ethos. So there's 6 for me. 5, Philadelphia. Embiid and Harden are great. Tyrese Maxey's finally playing great since his injury, you know, and, you know, you still have guys like PJ Tucker. I think Jalen McDaniels, even though he's been up and down in Philly, I think in the playoffs he's going to be a good get because while he's not quite his brother, he's still a good defender who can hit shots from the outside. And, you know, I love Melton, even though he's like one of the worst like isolation defenders in the league this year. He's still a good overall defender who can make steals, be a connective offensive weapon. They got pieces, and I think their up-end talent could get them anywhere, but we have to see Harden and Embiid. You know this. Embiid struggles with contact in the playoffs sometimes. When he feels banged up, when he's feeling tired, he tends to defer in terms of trying to settle.
Crazy.
And that's a problem to me. And Harden, we know his history, right? 4, I got Denver. Look, man, I agree with the defensive questions. I agree with the Jokic defensive questions. I still keep going back to this. I still try to leave room for generational players to be exceptions to rules. Like, people thought, oh, you can't win a championship, multiple championships with the 6'3" guard and Steph, who doesn't defend really, right? That got proven otherwise. Like, I'm not saying Jokic is Steph, but Jokic is a generational big. So I'm leaving that exception for them. And that offense is so dynamic. And they got a lot more POA defense with, you know, Bruce Brown, KCP, Aaron Gordon. You know, Jamal Murray pops at the right time more often than not. So they're still top 4 for me, even though I have similar questions as Charlie. 3, Phoenix, most deadly mid-range team in the NBA. I don't really know how you take away their spots unless Booker and Katie just don't finish around the rim. Their bench, I think it's a little better than people think because Okogie's risen. Wainwright's been really good.
Wainwright.
Yep. Campaign. I don't like Campaign as much as everybody else, but he can be dynamic at the right time. And I think this team has a C- bench, and I think that's good enough with their starting lineup. So, number 2, Boston. The defense is still really good. It's not what it's been last year. It feels like this team is missing that edge that it had last year, that it formulated after that adversity last year. It feels like things have been too easy for Boston this year, and that kind of concerns me. But it's still an awesome team. Tatum and Brown taking big leaps. We just got to see this team healthier. We got to see this team more focused. That's where I'm at with them. Charlie, you agree with me there?
We're playing lazy, injured basketball. We lost to Cleveland by 4 last night because of an injury to Tatum. We lost to New York in overtime because I think Brogdon was injured that game. I'm not making excuses. We're playing lazy basketball, and I think this is one of those cases where it could go either the Golden State direction, where they close out a season kind of soft, and then they come into the playoffs and they just absolutely kill everything in sight. But I also think we could end up doing something kind of foolish and end up losing to a team we probably shouldn't early on in the playoffs, like Miami, which would be just a massive bummer.
Yeah. But that floor is there, but they're still number 2.
Yeah.
What's up, Zach?
Yeah, I was agreeing.
Zach's really terse. I like it. You just I was agreeing. Let's move on. Okay. Number 1, Milwaukee, winning 17 of its last 18 games. I think personnel-wise, tell me I'm crazy. I think personnel-wise, this is the best defensive team since the 04 Pistons. Just personnel-wise. You got insane rim protection between Giannis and Brook Lopez. Giannis can switch everywhere. Drew Holiday is one of the 3 best POA guard defenders in the NBA. Javon Carter is one of the best defensive backup guards. When Chris Middleton's your worst starting defender, you're at a really good spot. And you have guys like Jake Crowder and Wesley Matthews who do what they do defensively. They're focused defenders. And Bobby Porter's sometimes can be locked in. And that's really all they need from Bobby. So this defense is amazing. And I think this offense, only 19th in the NBA right now, I think it's better than 19. So when everybody's healthy, I think this is a top 12 offense and the number 1 defense. And that wins championships. So, Bucks number 1 for me as well.
Yeah, with like the Bucks, I'm just hoping they can consistently find their offense because their offense, I mean, I feel like it should be a little bit better this year. But they have a perfect core around Giannis. Obviously, they have some great shooters around him. You have the stars around him too, and Drew Holiday, who made the All-Star game. Chris Middleton has been a little off this year, it seems like.
He's been hurt.
Yeah, I mean, he's been hurt as well.
He had a knee injury that he was recovering from, and then I think he broke his wrist, his shooting wrist.
So, assuming he can, start to figure out a little more too, I would probably, have, depending on matchups and stuff, I think this team is, the number 1 team to win the championship again this year. I think James is right. They're probably they're the best team in basketball defensively right now. I think the Cavs are technically ranked number 1 in a lot of metrics.
No, they overtook Milwaukee yesterday, or Cleveland.
Okay,
yeah, they overtook them.
Yeah, so I think the Bucks are definitely gonna be the best defensive team entering the playoffs, and they could be one of the better offensive teams too if everything starts to click there, which I think it will.
Middleton's averaging 13 a game, but he's playing 21 minutes because he's been hurt.
Oh, so yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, if you look at his per 36 stats, then that's probably pretty high. I don't know if that would be
something I'd like to mention. The teams we've listed off, all but Denver, can be or should be elite defenses.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I think the best example is Memphis. Even without John Morant, the reason we're quote unquote declaring them contenders is because they have Jaren Jackson Jr., Dylan Brooks, Xavier Tillman. They have a roster built for defense.
Yeah.
And defense is what lasts in the playoffs. So having Milwaukee as the number one contender because of that, just it fits.
Yeah. And I mean, Memphis still needs Ja. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah.
They fell apart. They fell apart in that Clippers game because they had Tyus Jones at point guard instead of John Morant. Even though Tyus had 25 and 10, it came down to when there's actual pressure on those guys, Bane, JJJ, and Tyus Jones understandably couldn't handle it. They need Ja. If Ja Morant isn't here this year, they're out of the contender list. But we don't know enough yet to determine that.
Yep.
So, ready to shift topics?
Yes, sir.
Sweet.
Let's go.
Pre-March Madness lottery mock between us. So, there's 14 picks, so this makes the math a little weird. Trying to figure out how we're going to do this. 14 picks, guys. 3 of us. So, each person on average would have 4.666 picks, which doesn't line up.
Mental math.
I think that would mean that one of us would have 4 picks, and 2 of us would have 5 picks with it.
Yeah.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how should we do this?
I'll take 4.
You'll take 4. Okay.
I'll
do you
take
want
4.
You want one? How do you do this? Oh no, we'll figure it out. How about this? We'll start with orders, and then we'll go from there. You want the first pick, Charlie?
I'll take the first pick. I mean, it's so easy. So I'll take the first pick. Thank you, James. Thank you.
Absolutely. Zach, you can take 2, and I'll take 3. Is that fair?
Sounds good. Yep. And we just rotate there.
I'll do a screen share because we're gonna do a tankathon.
Sweet.
Okay. How do I?
But yeah, we got this week today actually we got some conference tournaments starting up. I think the ACC starts today, and then tomorrow you have like Big 10 and all the Big 12 stuff. So we're coming upon March Madness, and I'm sure next show. I know James doesn't know as much about college basketball. We'll try to give some picks there. Hopefully I can give some insightful thoughts for March Madness. But yeah, that's coming right around the corner. Big stats.
So hype, bro. March, April, June, basketball, fantastic. The best time of the year for basketball.
Okay, my computer's being a jerk, so it's not letting me share screen. So Charlie, you'll have to do it. All right, run the order again. You cool with that?
So we're gonna randomize it.
Yeah.
All right, can you guys see it?
There you go. So Rockets number 1.
No, I'm sending it one more time.
Rockets number 1.
They still stick number 1.
See, what I say happens. So both got the number 1 pick as I said so, and then I said Rockets number 1, and they got it. So I'll tell this, man. Every NBA team should pay me a lot of money and see which team I'll predict. It'll be a bidding war. Who wants Victor that bad? All right. Charlie, you have a very difficult choice in number 1.
So I'm Houston, right? I got Jalen Green, Tari Eason, Kevin Porter Jr. I think is a part of that core for right now. I'm not sure if he's gonna stay. I also have Ty Washington, who's a guard. I have Josh Christopher, who's another guard off their bench. I'm gonna go with Victor Wembanyama.
Whoa! That is
I'm blowing some minds here.
Oh my god.
He's a big man, and Houston literally doesn't have one besides Alper
Sengun, who we don't really. I think you and I are lower on Alper than the average fan.
I'm not a Sengun guy. I think Victor Wembanyama and Sengun could actually fit very nicely next to one another. So I think that's nice. I really hope that Houston doesn't mess up Victor Wembanyama by going and getting James Harden this offseason.
Would that not be great for Victor?
No, no.
I mean, getting that playmaking maestro next to Vic. I mean, dang. Honestly, that can't be worse than what they have right now.
True. You're not wrong, but
Kevin Porter dribble. Make that like a repeat sound, and I'll make it a 4-hour video. That's our entire podcast.
Like the Boban commercial.
Yeah. He's bouncing it. Yeah, we can just do that and just talk about Kim Porter Jr. topic and just put that on repeat for 4 hours.
That sounds good.
I think Victor Wembanyama is the right pick at number 1 for Houston. The only other really solid pick would be like a 15-year veteran that they could bring in. But Houston just seems super averse to veterans right now. So we'll go Victor Wembanyama.
All right. And then at number 2, this I mean, if the Wizards can land number 2, this would be insane for them. I think this core needs it. I'm taking Scoot Henderson. It's obviously listed there as well. Scoot Henderson would be phenomenal with them. And they could maybe try to keep that core together. I would like to see Scoot next to a guard that can take pressure off him as well, and a Bradley Beal who can create for himself, and then a big man like Porzingis that can space the floor. Scoot has been really, really nice with the G League this year. He's shown improvements with his shot making ability, especially from deep. He can put pressure on the rim. He's a lengthy defender. I think what's his but he's like 6'2" and his wingspan's like, yeah, he's got a big wingspan. I think he's got upside defensively, and I think he can really play make for what others at a high level for a prospect. So I think coming to this Wizards team, who they're a playing contender right now, and I think he could really elevate them as a whole. And I really think they could keep their core together if they landed somebody like him. So I'm going Scoot Henderson number 2.
His physical comp is literally a bigger Donovan Mitchell. That's his physical comp.
Mm-hmm.
Question: does Scoot Henderson make Washington like a playoff team? Because right now they're sitting in like 9-10, I believe. Does Scoot Henderson bring them into like the 6-5 range?
I don't know. I would have to look at projections for next year and stuff, but I don't know. I think you could go 2 ways if you landed Henderson. One, you could, trade off pieces to build around him solely and then, try to match Scoot Henderson's timeline. Or what they'd probably do is they try to build, Scoot Henderson into this core. And I think they'd be probably, a contending top 8 team with Henderson. So, yeah, I think this team definitely needs a better lead guard next to Beal and Porzingis. And I think he fits that.
I mean, the East is really good, and it's a lot to ask of a rookie point guard to make you from decent to good.
Mm-hmm.
That's just really hard. So I think that'd be a lot to ask for Scoot, as good of a prospect he is. I think it's going to take him time because it almost always is like that for point guards. I mean, is he a more polished prospect coming in, theoretically, than Cade Cunningham?
Well, I don't know, maybe 2. He's got 2 technically pro years of basketball because, you got to count G League as pro. I don't know. Maybe.
Cade Cunningham needed time, dude.
Cade was built for the NBA, though. Cade is a 6'6" big body. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scoot Henderson is a 6'2", 195, right? So he's physically strong, but it's not like he's physically – I don't think he's all that physically imposing, where Cade is we see guards struggle with getting accustomed to the physicality of the NBA. Cade didn't really struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
He is a big dude.
I don't know who that is.
That's
he is
huge.
a big dude. He is a big dude.
He is a built dude.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think Scoot's going to have issues with turnovers right away. I think he's going to have issues with turnovers and controlling the game, but I think he could be good in those departments eventually.
Sure.
All right, we said this would be a 15-minute segment. It's already been 10. We're like 2 minutes in. 2 picks in. All right, that was why. Third pick, I'll accelerate this a little bit because those are the 2 guys everybody's obsessed with. OKC Thunder, Brandon Miller is the third pick here. Don't really think it makes sense to add Amin Thompson to this team with Giddey and Williams and Shea, already a lot of mouths to feed. This team needs floor spacing. They don't have a lot of that. So getting the best shooter in the draft, that was the case for Jabari Smith last year. And I think it'd be the same case for Brandon Miller this year. You could plug him right at the 3 or maybe a small ball 4. And let's go. You got your core. Now trade everything else and get veterans around these kids because you don't need more young players. It's impossible to contend with 15 young players on the roster. It's impossible.
Agreed.
So, Memphis, closest thing to that. Their entire roster is in shambles right now. So, yes, OKC, you got your guy. You got lucky again. Figure it out. 4th pick. Charlie, you're next.
I think Indiana could go two ways with this. They could grab Jarace Walker, who would fit nicely next to Miles Turner, or they could grab Amen Thompson. I think it really depends on what they view Benedict Mathurin as going forward. Right now, Mathurin has been a bench piece. He doesn't start. They like keeping Buddy Hield there for the shooting. And I think if they continue with their Benedict, you're coming off the bench and you're going to give us like 17 on pretty solid shooting. And we want you to just score every time you get the ball. I think they go Jarace Walker in that case. But if they decide, let's go a little younger, move on from Buddy Hield, and so forth, they bring oh my God, Benedict Mathurin. Thank you. They bring Benedict Mathurin into the starting lineup next to Halliburton. Then I think bringing in a guy like Amen Thompson and kind of just slowing the rebuild down a little bit and going with Halliburton, Mathurin, and Amen Thompson as your like 1, 2, 3 guards. And that's like 3 6'5" or taller, explosively athletic guards that can all kind of beat you off the dribble, shoot it a little bit, and pass, obviously. I like that. So I think it really depends on where Indiana wants to go with this. Me personally, I'm going to pick Amen Thompson.
Okay. So let me write this down because I haven't written anything down. So okay, Victor went 1.
Yeah, as always.
Scoot, Miller, Thompson. All right. Number
Then
5.
we got the Pistons at 5. I think you could go 3 ways here, and I'm still trying to decide here, but I'm either gonna go with Jarace Walker, Keontae George, or Cam Whitmore. I think all have legit arguments. I think I might cross out Keontae George though, because I think they could use more of a different archetype of player than him. I think I'm kind of settling in on Jarace Walker to the Pistons. I think he would be, the start of a really good defensive foundation there. I don't think he really has the upside to be, one of a top scorers on a team, but I think he can give you, 15 to 16 a game in a few years. He can space the floor a little bit. We'll see if that translates, fully to the NBA level. He can handle the ball as a 6'8", 240-pound guy. I think if he starts to impose his will more physically, that will help him a lot. I think that's something he hasn't done as much as at Houston as I've wanted, but he's legitimately one of the better players on the best team in college basketball this season. He's going to be a phenomenal, switchable defender at the NBA level. I think he's kind of like a Jeremy Sohan, but maybe a little more kick to the offense. And I think he's worth a top 5 pick to the right team.
I like that. I'm trying to think. That would be interesting toward its experiment because they've tried really hard to put like Isaiah Stewart or James Wiseman at the 4. Mm-hmm. So that would be another big in the mix.
Yeah, I wouldn't
think I would stay with that pick. But the best player available, if you think he's the best available.
Duran
Isaiah
Stewart and Walker is a really nice young front court.
For sure. And now San Antonio's at a weird spot because this is a team that's starting to get really loaded at wings. Like, it's always been like that with them. But, like with their young core by itself, you got Malachi Branham. You had that dude from Baylor last year. You have Devin Vassell, right? You have Keldon Johnson. So this team is really missing a point guard and a big man, but there's not really anybody available I would take to be a point guard, a big man at this spot. Nick Smith Jr. would have been a great idea if he was healthier and played better. I mean, he's scoring more lately, but I don't think he's a point guard. 6th pick, I think I'm going to go with Sir Thompson here. I think they got the mock right because they need upside. They need that really high upside player. Sir qualifies. And quietly, nobody talks about this. Yeah, Amin is the more gifted overall playmaker, or Sir averages more assists than Amin. So he's got playmaking chops, and he's got scoring chops, and he's a freakishly athletic guy. You can put him at a lot of spots in San Antonio, and he's not going to accelerate this team, make it better right away. The level he's playing at overtime, it's just going to be a transition period for him. But I think he's the highest upside prospect available. And San Antonio still needs to keep striking for upside at this stage of its rebuild. So, unfortunate this team fell to 6 with Victor Wembanyama aspirations, but that's the reality. I think Thompson's the one guy who has like real star potential at this spot. So I'll go, sir.
We're looking at 7 with Charlotte, and the only foundational pieces they have are Mark Williams at center and LaMelo Ball as their point guard. So I would probably be interested in getting some shooting around those two. I think I'm gonna go Grady Dick here, which I think is a reach. But Grady Dick is probably the best shooter besides Brandon Miller in this draft. He's 6'7". He's a pretty solid wing that moves on defense. And pairing him in the backcourt with LaMelo Ball would be a very interesting, large, physically imposing backcourt with both of them being 6'7". To be perfectly blunt, I think Charlotte could go anyone and have a positive draft because of how youthfully lacking they are on their roster.
For such a bad team, that's so weird.
What?
For such a bad team, it's so odd. Like,
I know.
They're playing like Gary Rozier, Kelly Oubre, Gordon Hayward, and they somehow it's bizarre. Like, they have a lot of money invested in the veterans, and they're bad. It's a bad spot.
The only young player on their roster besides the two I haven't mentioned is PJ Washington, and I'm not even sure he's going to be on the roster after this season. Yeah. So I'll go Grady Dick. I'll go Grady Dick.
All right, then we got the Magic here with back-to-back picks, it looks like. And with the first one, I'm going to go best player available. I think this guy could go top 5 to the right team if, you need shot creating stuff. But I'm going to go Keontae George, who is my number 5 prospect right now. I think he's just such a big-time shot maker and creator. He's got an extremely good, deep bag of moves. I'm not the biggest fan of his shot selection at times. I think he takes a lot of really weird, deep shots that you don't really see other guys do. But he's got phenomenal balance. He's really elusive. I think he's got a lot of upside as an off-ball shooter as well that can work off of like Bonchera, who when he's pushing the paint, if he can work off ball and get open shots a lot. I think he's going to be a good finisher at the rim. He's strong and stocky. I think he's shown really nice passing flashes. He's got legitimate second creator upside, and I think he could be a solid defender in the NBA. He's not the best athlete, but he can still, he's an okay athlete. But I think he'd be a really good fit next to Paolo Banchero, somebody that can space the floor really well and create for himself as well. And the Magic have a few guards that might not get as much playing time as this, but I think this team needs to draft best player available, and somebody like George falling it to 8. I think you got to take advantage of that. So we got who's up next?
James.
Hey, my apologies, y'all. I think the internet's breaking up a little bit. I don't know why it's been breaking up.
There we go.
But
it's better now.
All right, you're back.
Yeah,
You're back.
Yeah, there's something weird with my internet. Like, it says 3 bars on my computer, and then it says 1 bar on this. Like, I don't know what. There's some outage. So I think you're talking about Keontae George to Orlando.
Yep.
I heard half of it. I apologize to everybody in the recording who is going to probably hear that and be like, what the heck is going on? So it is what it is. So Keontae George went number 8. He likes his shot creation. And number 9, Orlando. Here's the thing with Orlando. They're really filled in wings right now. I love a lot of their guys. Obviously, Franz and Paulo are kind of the pillars of this franchise. Isaac got hurt again, but you hope someday that somehow it gets resolved. I really love Caleb Houston. I think he is going to be a longtime pro when he gets more opportunity. So I consider him a legit piece on this team. So it's definitely a little bit hard, to make a true pick here. Like, I'm not a huge believer in Fultz. I'm not a huge believer in Jalen Suggs. I'm a moderate believer in Cole Anthony. So I'm not one to say, well, you can't take point guard here. How could you? They got all these franchise guards. They don't have one guard who's better than the 25th starting point guard in the NBA. So I'll just say that. And with this 9th pick, I'm looking at it, thinking in the context of Franz and Paolo, who would make a lot of sense in the vision. You got Keontae at the 2, maybe. You got Paolo and Franz, right? I'm going to go Anthony Black here from Arkansas. He's a point guard on this team, and he kind of fits in that identity of big, long, defensive-minded, just a connective playmaker. He has similar issues as Suggs where he can't shoot great, but I believe in his shot more than Suggs. It looks like it has more room to grow, just from my eye test. I'm not like a shooting coach or anything. So I think his shot has more upside than Suggs because I like his touch a little more. And I can put him at the 1, and he's a legit 6'6 guard, 6'7 guard. And all of a sudden, you're talking about a team that's just big and versatile. I just think that fits with Orlando's identity very well with this team. So I'm going to go Anthony Black 9.
Love that pick. I'm Utah, have the 10th pick, and I saw Nick Smith fall from 7. Nick Smith, I don't have a point guard in Utah. I got Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen. Colin Sexton might be a part of that future, but I don't really think so. Nick Smith is the obvious pick here. You got Ochai Agbaji is the only other young wing there. I'd go Nick Smith and just throw him in the fire and see what kind of comes out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Utah's at the beginning of their rebuild. They got so many more picks after this.
All right, and then we got the Pelicans. This was a guy I was seriously contemplating at number 5 for the Pistons, but I went with Jarris Walker instead. And I'm kind of surprised he didn't go in between these picks.
I know you're talking about.
But Cam Whitmore, he has one of the higher ceilings in this class overall. He's a physical beast. I mean, he's like 6'7", and he's got this insane frame. I kind of compared to like Anthony Edwards sometimes, but he's a really nice athlete. He's an insane shot creator. I think he's got defensive upside. I get it. The Pelicans are probably going to be a team that, it's going to be harder for them to work in a prospect like him. But when you have that upside on the table at, pick 11 and that type of talent, you have to take it. And I think he could be a legitimate, player for them in the future. And he's got really nice all-star upside. I've seen people where they rank the players with the most upside in this class, and he is among the top 3, top 4. He's got a phenomenal ceiling for them. So I would take Cam Whitmore at 11.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that. I think there's 6 guys in this draft who have really high ceilings. Yeah. I would probably put Cam more in the 5 to 6 range just because I trust the playmaking by far the least among those guys. But here's the thing. I like the player. I like the value. I don't like the team because the Pelicans team all of a sudden has a log jam of forwards when you're talking about Brandon Ingram, Trey Murphy. Gosh, why am I who's the other guy? Why is my mind completely zoning out? The defender. Herb Jones, Zion Williamson. It's just there's a lot. And I didn't even mention a Dyson Daniels who's 6'8". They got a lot of young, just combo wings who can play 2 to 4, right? It's not the greatest spot. I don't think this is a premier Anthony Black development spot. I think Utah would have been a great spot for him. I would have taken him 10 personally. Cam Whitmore. I would have taken him 10 personally in Utah, but Nick Smith's decent too. Yeah, I mean, Casey Wallace, I like more than the average person. I think he makes a lot of sense there on that team. So, maybe the Pelicans trade back with this pick. Yeah, me too. Lakers 12. Lakers finally have a lottery pick. They actually, I think, that pick swap is looking like it doesn't really matter because unless somebody gets the number 1 pick, because Pelicans, Lakers are 11 and 12 right now. So, oh no, right? So, I want another movement shooter next to LeBron James. I like Sensabaugh, but I don't think he's as like quick twitched around LeBron, running off his screens and stuff like that. I'm going to take Jet Howard from Michigan. Not the greatest defender yet. Not the greatest defender, not the most physical on the glass. There's some things he has to work on. But he's a 6'8", super fluid movement shooter who can shot off. This service is really messing me up, and I got 3 bars. You guys hear me fine, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great. Okay, sorry. It's just the connection is odd. To continue my thought, 6'8", movement shooter. I think LeBron could really thrive next to that. And I just think he's a great fit, and you can argue he's a top 10 pick. So I think they pray Grady Dick falls to them, but I think Jet Howard's the next best thing. So.
For sure.
Picking for Portland. Honestly, I really, really struggle to see like someone that really sticks out to me. Obviously, Dariq Whitehead is really young. He's a 6'6" small forward, plays at Duke. His stats are a little lower than what you would expect from him, but I think he can play. He can play. He's been hurt, but I know he can play. I've seen it. It's like the small things that he does on the court really pop out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But Portland doesn't need an 18-and-a-half-year-old. You know, Portland needs a guy that they're going to compete with because they want to build around Dame. I honestly think they should trade down. I'm going to sound kind of crazy here. I think they draft Chris Murray with a later pick. I think Chris Murray fits in as a rangy, switchable 4 who can shoot the ball very well. He's very cloned of his brother. He's older. He's experienced. He knows how to play basketball. He can rebound. He can shoot. He plays defense. I think that's what Portland needs. And in the case that you do trade Dame and Jeremy Grant, he can still fit in the Anthony Simons and Shaedon Sharpe timeline if you really want to do that, which Portland does.
Yeah. He's very reliable. Plays kind of like his brother, which is pretty funny. It'll be really hard to tell them apart if the Kings somehow land him. So, yeah. I think can't go wrong at this point in the draft. Zach, you got 14.
All right, to close this one out, this is a tough pick for the Raptors because, one, I don't really know what the direction of this team is. And I'm trying to look at guys that could really create for them in the half court because they need a lot of half court creation still. And if I was just taking like best player available, it'd probably be Cason Wallace, but I don't know how much of that he's going to provide for you. Even though I think he fits, that the defensive scheme that the team likes to run. But I think I'm going to probably go with Bryce Sensabaugh here from Ohio State. I think he would provide, something that Wallace doesn't as much, and that's just, since Wallace could shoot, but I think Sensabaugh's in our level of that. I think he could create for them a lot in the half court. He's a decently sized guard, and I think that team just needs that type of archetyped, guys that can score in the half court, because I think they have everything else covered. And assuming they stick with the same core, I think Sensabaugh makes sense.
Sensabaugh makes
There's
sense.
the lottery, y'all. So in our mock draft, Victor went 1, Scooch went 2, Brandon Miller went 3, Amon Thompson 4, Jarris Walker 5, Asur Thompson 6, Grady Dick 7, Keontae George 8, Anthony Black 9, Nick Smith Jr. 10, Cam Whitmore 11, Jet Howard 12, Chris Murray 13, and Bryce Sensabaugh 14. So there's our pre-lottery or pre-March Madness mock draft. It'll be very fascinating to see how much narratives and how much, views on draft prospects changes over these next 4 weeks. But we're excited for it. So, if you guys...
Oh, I just glitched for you. What'd you say?
Did you hear anything I said?
No, it glitched for 5 seconds.
What the heck is going on? with this internet. It's not even my internet this time, but it was. But what I was saying was, anything you guys want to say about it? Like, it'd be very interesting to see how the lottery changes going
Yeah, I
forward.
mean, it'll change
Just
a
a
lot.
disclaimer, I'm not the most familiar with some of the picks in this draft. So if anyone else disagrees with the picks that I made, I'm perfectly happy to hear you guys out.
You exposed yourself.
yeah.
You did fine. You did fine. Now you just look stupid.
Yeah.
I feel like I look stupid for the Chris Murray pick, but whatever.
I don't think that's crazy. It's 13th pick.
I got a twin bias, bro. I love that kid. I think he's going to be fantastic.
The Morris Twins 2.0.
Hey, I think they're going to be way better than the Morris twins. Keegan looks great in the NBA, bro.
Yeah, I think Keegan's a high-level role player. He's really good.
I think Keegan has that next level, bro. We're not supposed to be talking about this, but I think Keegan in Sacramento has like this. You remember what Harrison Barnes was doing in Dallas?
Yeah, I think Harrison Barnes is a good Keegan Murray comp, actually.
I think Keegan can do that, but on a contender.
So
it's like 20 points. Wow. I think he could put up 20 on a contender.
I don't quite agree, but if you're right, I'll give you credit for it. All right. Let's change it up. This show's already gone very long. We're an hour and 16 in, already longer than normal, and we still got like 4 topics. Okay. You guys want to talk about speed? That was supposed to be a 15-minute topic. We turned into 25. So, all right. What is up with Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies? We've seen, I don't want to go too deep in this topic because there's a lot of unknown still. All we really know is that Ja Morant's been caught up in 3 different cases, and one included a 17-year-old in which he got in a fight with at his house. There's a belief among Indiana Pacer people that his car had a red beam pointing out of it. Obviously, we heard about the Instagram Live last night, and there's one more. There's one more on top of that. You guys remember?
Because of the live, the live was taken in a city out that wasn't Memphis, meaning he brought his piece with him on the plane, which is there's a lot of problems with that, both federally and team rule wise. So yeah, I think that was the 4th one.
Yeah. Last one. There's the 4th one. He threatened, him and his friends threatened a mall cop, security guy at a mall. Yeah. So that was the 4th one. So those have been the 4 cases. Those 3 were before the Instagram Live, but then I think it became just an investigation, and all of a sudden, all of this got accelerated because Ja Morant posted in Denver about him at a nightclub with something that might be a gun.
Yeah.
So,
what
costs do you guys have on that?
So I just saw reports and stuff. I know you guys have all heard the stuff about a potential 50-game suspension. And in the CBA with the NBA, if they do find that he had the gun on the plane with him, it's an automatic 50-game suspension based off of CBA rules. I don't know if that will happen. We'll see. I think this is definitely turned into more than a 2-game thing than what it originally was. And then you also have Brandon Clark, who was, announced as out for the year, unfortunately, on the same day. And then, they had another one right after with Brooks with his 16th technical being suspended for a game. But yeah, with Ja, I think this is definitely turned into more than a 2-game situation.
I gotta agree with Zach. Losing Ja Morant and Brandon Clark in one foul swoop is a massive blow to the Grizzlies' playoff contention hopes and dreams. Obviously, they're going to make the playoffs to the 2nd seed right now. I can't see them falling out of the playoffs completely. But, yeah, it's a massive bummer to lose both of them like that. And again, John Morant's not coming back for more than a couple of weeks.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'll say this. We don't know everything, but I'm going to just say what we know. John Morant has been at the wrong spot 4 different times now. We don't know the innocence level that he has on every single case. 100% sure yet. It's a lot of he said, she said right now. But I'll say this. Usually when you're consistently at the same type of reports, you're probably at the wrong spot a lot. So we know for sure John Morant has not been at the right spot. And additionally, if you told me the night before after that third report came out, what could be the dumbest thing John Morant could do tonight? I would probably say post an Instagram story about him using a gun. That would be in the top 3 for sure. And what do you know? I wake up in the morning and I was like, no, he didn't. There's no way. You can't be that stupid. That was my first thought. And here's the reality, guys. John Morant is a superstar. He is incredible. I think all of us want him to have an amazing long career. So I just hope this situation is almost a wake-up call for John Morant that, dude, you're 23, but you're the face of a upon billion-dollar organization making hundreds of millions of dollars. That goes beyond just being on the basketball court. That goes beyond your image and how you carry yourself off the court. And John Morant so far hasn't done a great job lately at that. And if he comes, and I just hope he doesn't keep following down this path. I hope this is a wake-up call for him to continue getting better. It sounds like he's getting help, which is great. And, he's only 23 years old. So this is not the end of John Morant or nonsense like that. Just grow from this, even if it ends up being a 50-game suspension. 20 years from now, that'll just be a mini chapter. So we got to remember that. So I am excited for Ja that he's going to, hopefully prioritize just getting help with this and, just wishing him nothing but the best. Nobody wants this. So that's all I can really say on it.
Agreed.
We don't know enough, so there's nothing much to say other than good luck, Memphis.
Yeah, it's all you can really say. Like I said, the only thing you can say is he's very likely at the wrong spot consistently. So that's been proven, right? That Instagram story very much didn't help his ethos. So yeah, and in terms of Memphis, they got no chance of contending without him. I understand they won 80% of their games last year without him, but when push comes to shove, man, you're missing Brandon Clark as well, who was a big part of that. And at the end of games, fourth quarter, you need shot makers, and Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson aren't good enough for that in that type of environment. We saw that against the Clippers the other night. So
they're not winning a championship, but they're still going to be a major thorn in whoever wants to play them in the first round and the second if they make it that far.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. So, what? 1 second. Yeah, man. I'll say one more thing. I was trying to remember what I was going to say, so I went back in my notes. Ja Morant, I think one part of it is people have talked about you don't see guys like Zion on these reports, right? And stuff like that. I think Ja Morant has reached fame very late in his career. He was not a ranked recruit. He went to Murray State. He wasn't a projected first-round pick until the very end of it, starting his sophomore year. So a lot of this is coming really fast for him in terms of just how fast the fame has come to him. All of a sudden, he went from being slept on to having everything. And it's understandable that a lot comes of that, because Zion Williamson has been a prodigy since he was a kid. So you are consistently in the face of media. So I think Zion Williamson has more exposure to that. So all I say is Ja, not to his defense, but it just shows that his lack of experience at this type of platform. And if Ja Morant wants to maintain this type of platform, he's going to have to grow from this. But I just wanted to point out that detail, just that he honestly became famous really late for a star like that.
Yep.
Okay, let's transition to a more fun topic. Damian Lillard. You say a lot of blasphemy, Charlie, but you said the other day that Damian Lillard is the best scorer in the NBA right now. So I'm just going to leave this floor to you. You say whatever you want.
Since January, he's averaging 36 points per game on 47% from the field and 38% from three. I mean, like, it's really hard to go against that. You know what I mean? And the way Dame does it is, like, he's obviously an on-the-ball scorer, but you also see a lot of catch and shoots in there, a lot of movement off the ball and cutting. He's a freak athlete that is still finishing at the rim at age 33, I think he is. He's having one of those seasons where he's so burning hot. And in my opinion, he is playing as the best point guard in the league right now. And he's playing as the best scorer in the league right now. Now, that might change in 10 weeks. That might change when playoffs come around. But for right now, he is the best scorer in the NBA.
Yeah, I think when we're talking about like a 2-month sample size recently, yeah, he's been the best scorer in that sample size. But if we're like talking about like some hypothetical where I need to give the ball to one player and they need to make a basket, I'm probably still choosing Kevin Durant. Like I would probably want him as, that guy right now. But I mean, over the last few months, he's been the best scorer in basketball for sure.
You're talking about just like your average Kevin Durant versus this Damian Lillard.
Yes, 100%.
This Damian Lillard, really?
This Damian Lillard, who's shooting 29 shots a game his last 2 games. Yes, that Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is an awesome player. He has been special his last 20 games. What he is doing his last 20 games is Harden-esque in 2018 to 2019. I am not taking that away. But when you're actually talking the best scorers in the NBA, you can't tell me if Kevin Durant decided I'm going to play exactly like that and take that volume, he can't do that either. I don't buy that. And when you're talking about actual best scorers in basketball, when you actually look at the grand stretch, a 20-game regular season sample size doesn't change much in terms of the landscape to that magnitude. It doesn't change it when you're talking about the context of the best players. He's a career 40.9% shooter in the playoffs. That is one thing. Number two, like unlike a Stephen Curry, he is not nearly dynamic as on off ball. The way Damian Lillard plays, he is fantastic. He can hit shots from anywhere. But at the end of the day, when you put on a 6'9" guy and say, you know what, I'm just going to focus in on you. I don't have anybody else to worry about. You can take away Damian Lillard. You can't take away Kevin Durant. So Damian Lillard has had the best scoring stretches, but he isn't actually the best scorer in the NBA. And we can say that while acknowledging he is still one of the best 10 in the NBA. Huh?
Boston proved that wrong last year when they took Kevin Durant out the game. 4 games in a row, baby.
That's a good point, but Kevin Durant has that resume, bro. You can have a bad playoff series. Damian Lillard had a bad playoff career.
I'm not talking about playoffs. I'm talking about right now.
Right now, I don't care. You throw right now Damian Lillard in the playoffs, I don't think he's the best scorer in the playoffs.
All right.
Nah, man. Dame is great, but I want to differentiate a great scoring stretch from actually being the best. So,
the first 20 games of the year, I think Jason Tatum led the league in scoring, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And everyone picked Jason Tatum for MVP.
Mm-hmm.
But those 20 games, I guess, didn't matter. And then the next 20 games.
Well, it's media. Everybody reacts to everything. Who's the MVP of Tuesday? Like, that's just how ESPN works, man, and all the media outlets, man.
Yeah, I know. But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Dame right now is the best scorer in the NBA. He's putting up 36.
Is he actually the best scorer in the NBA, or is he having the best scoring stretch?
He's having the best scoring stretch.
Okay, I don't have an issue
This
with that.
year.
It's when you're actually saying he's actually the best scorer in the NBA based on what he's done for 20 games.
He's having the best scoring stretch of the year of any player. His 20 games right now is the best scoring stretch of this year.
Yeah.
He's putting up 36
The
on
internet's failing me.
what?
His internet is bugging. There we go. Nice back.
What'd you
The internet's
say?
failing me right now.
Oh, I thought you
It
said
says
the
it
internet
has
is
3
failing
bars, but
you
saying it's
right
unstable. Like, make it make sense.
now.
It is.
No, I think my argument is that
Wi-Fi is terrible
Right
right
now-
now.
these 20 games of Damian Lillard is better than any 20 games any other NBA players had this year. I'd even extend that to last year.
That's not a bad take. When you said on Instagram that he was actually the best scorer in the NBA right now, I was like, okay, we can separate those definitions right now.
There's a better way of saying it, which is that this 20 game stretch by Damian Lillard is the best 20 game stretch of the last 2 years.
Okay,
Better?
I'm fine with that. Zach, what do you think? Sure.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
That's a great
Yeah.
happy medium.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say so
Like,
too.
respect Dame, but respect Dame, don't worship Dame. That's what I'm saying.
Send Dame to anywhere besides
All right.
Portland, man.
Please.
So sad. It's so sad. Go to Boston for nothing.
It's his
Please.
choice, man. He wants to stay. He wants to stay. That's his
Get him
choice.
out of
I don't
there.
feel bad.
I'm not talking to Dame.
I
I'm
don't
talking
feel
to the
bad.
leadership in Portland. Get him out. Free this man. Get him a ring somewhere else. Stop wasting his career away.
Understandable. The only way they can get a championship in the Damian Lillard and the number 1 pick this year.
But they have like 1.6% odds, right? For the number 1.
Did you hear that? Yeah. It could go up really fast though.
Yeah, they could fall to like the 10th seed and not the 10th seed, the 13th spot in the West. I think that's the furthest they can fall because San Antonio and Houston just suck so bad.
Yeah, they're having ultimate tank off at the bottom. Holy crap.
Every team in the West is a 30-win team right now,
Yeah.
besides them, who are both like
It's pretty
14-win
funny.
teams.
Right.
It's legendary level tanking, bro. Both of them lost like 30 games in a row at some point or some shit like that. It was crazy. Or it was like they went like 30 and they went like 2-30 or something. It was crazy.
Yeah, get Kevin Porter Jr. on your team if you want to tank. Holy.
He'll average 18 points and
Dude,
15 wins a season.
He bounces it. He bounces it. He bounces it.
I want
Yeah.
to trade my internet for I'll package 5 first-round picks to trade my internet right now.
That's where the trade market's at. So
All right.
that's where
I'd
the
rather
trade
have
market's
Gobert.
at.
I can get 4 first-round picks for my internet.
Yeah, you can get 4 first-round picks for OG Anunoby too. Quin Snyder?
What's
James,
up,
did you hear what I said?
Yes.
Let's do
I
it.
did, but my internet doesn't hear things. I'm moving my internet, dude.
I can't even.
Legendary pod.
Oh, it mutes. He gets muted when he moves his computer.
Oh, he does? Does he
Yeah.
know that?
He doesn't know yet, but he's muted.
I
know.
Yep. I need to clean this kitchen. Okay. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. That was disgraceful internet performance. All right. We'll finish the show in this room. Quin Snyder to Atlanta. What is your guys' biggest take on this move that recently happened? Charlie, you start first because you have very strong opinions on Trae Young.
Yay, it's a Utah remake, but with a worse Donovan Mitchell and a worse Rudy Gobert.
Worse Rudy Gobert.
They also have a Bogdanovich of some kind, and to top it all off, Mike Conley and Trae Young probably have the same effect on a basketball game. No, I the Atlanta Hawks are not going to get better until Trae Young learns how to play off the basketball and also stops having a Napoleon complex. And also they utilize John Collins properly. And also they give the ball to DeJounte Murray more. Yeah. I think that's what it takes. So if Quin Snyder can make that happen, then Atlanta might actually turn their season around, and I could see them climbing up to be in that New York Knicks range.
Is it too late for that? Knicks got pretty good separation.
It might be a little too late for that, but you never know. Especially because of how strong the East is. If Atlanta goes on a little run and beats up on some pretty teams, they could make that little run, but DeJounte Murray is in my opinion the most impactful player on the Atlanta Hawks, and then I think DeAndre Hunter and Trae Young come in tied at second. And so I think you gotta get Trae off the ball. You got to get DeJounte Murray a little bit more into the stuff he was doing last year. And I think, I don't know, man. I don't know how Quin Snyder fixes this. I don't like Atlanta. We all know this. I don't know how Quin Snyder fixes it.
Yeah, Snyder's relationship with Young is so important here. I mean, it's small sample size, but they're 1-3 already into this relationship. But yeah, he's really got to find a connection with Trae Young here. I think a lot of the Hawks' success is going to be deterred on, what does Trae Young figure out himself. I think there's a really legitimate possibility where this doesn't work out and Trae Young asks out of Atlanta and the team, just moves on from this whole situation. I don't know when that would be. I think it wouldn't be, this offseason necessarily, because I think even Young would probably understand that you need more time to, develop chemistry with the new coach. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of where this team's at. Clint Capella, he's aging. They haven't used John Collins correctly. This is like the third or fourth deadline straight where they've been seemed to, committed to trading Collins, and they've never figured out trading him, which never doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how they have never been able to figure out a trade partner for him. But yeah, this is really interesting. I think Snyder could be the right guy because I think he can, talk down to players kind of well without, seeming, overpowering. I don't know how to explain it really, but I think if he can figure this out with Trae Young, they won't have to blow up this core. But I think, within a year, we could very well be hearing a lot of rumors of Young wanting out of Atlanta.
Well, if that happens, I'll tell you this, that would be a disaster for Trae Young. Just a disaster. His value is honestly probably varied depending on the team, because I think Trae Young has a distinct taste. Like some teams love him, some hate him. If I just had to guess, right? Trae Young, if he doesn't work with Quin Snyder, is going to start pushing toward that Kyrie Irving territory, where no team wants any part of him. And the only teams that would want Trae Young would be the teams like Dallas, who are just absolutely desperate. And they only dealt one first-round pick. Guys like Trae Young, for his production, are usually worth the farm and moon. That could plummet if it doesn't work with Quin Snyder, because he has excuses with Lloyd Pierce. A lot of people don't think he's a very good coach. Chandler Parsons has said that, right? Nick McMillan isn't a great coach either, but that's a little more shady, right? Those reputations are starting to brew. That Trae Young, you can't win with him because his game has very clear weaknesses that don't translate down to winning level, and he isn't willing to adjust his game offensively to make people better beyond just the assist numbers, right? Those are already brewing. So now you have Quin Snyder, who is arguably the best coach in the NBA to a few people. One of the top 5, you can argue, right? This is a guy who is
offensive mind,
who makes who made a ton of pieces in Utah work. People say Rudy Gobert is limited offensively. Not saying that's wrong. He has the best offensive rating in NBA history for an individual player. Got to give Quin Snyder some credit for that, right? He was able to consistently make puzzles fit in Utah and win consistently. He is known as a guy that players fight for. I don't know anybody who hates Quin Snyder. So if you're Trae Young and your ethos is continuing to go down in terms of the leadership element, in terms of getting along with coaches, if he doesn't work with Quin Snyder of all people, who else is he going to work with? That's going to be the narrative. And then teams that look at Trae Young will say, I'm not dealing more than a first-round pick for him because he can come here and mess up my franchise too. I'm not dumping all that for Trae Young. So Trae Young needs to make this work more than anybody else in that Hawks organization, including Quin Snyder, because his ethos is going down and it would plummet if this becomes a disaster.
I don't think Trae Young is a championship basketball player. I think that Atlanta has what it takes roster-wise to absorb in a 1B kind of player and become a championship contender. Like, I think that if Atlanta had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, automatic contender. Atlanta has Donovan Mitchell. I think they're an automatic contender. I think there's a lot of players you could plug into there and say, hey, boom, contender. I think Trae Young just isn't. I think Trae Young is a third option on a championship team kind of player because of his defensive problems and because he doesn't know how to exist without the basketball in his hands. So unless you have an all-time defense surrounding him, like I'm talking about like 04 Pistons or better type things, you know, I don't think Quin Snyder can do that in Atlanta. And the problem is I love what Atlanta has. I think Collins, Onyeka, Clint Capella, Jalen Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, Bogdan Bogdanovic, DeJounte Murray are all solid championship pieces. We all know how I feel about DeJounte Murray. I think he's excellent as a point guard. And then I love John Collins. I've always been a John Collins guy. I think his defense is pretty but on offense, I think he can stretch the floor, he can finish in the paint. And he's kind of a nice tertiary, quaternary scorer that fills in the gaps for you offensively and defensively. And I think that Trae Young is going to be seen as the guy who holds Atlanta back and holds Atlanta hostage because Quin Snyder is a fantastic coach. And like James was saying, if Young can't make it work, then it's him on the chopping block. I don't think it'll be Quin Snyder this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably Trae Young that's up next. I think, Quin Snyder deserves to, have time to figure it out as a coach here in Atlanta because he has such a great track record, especially with Utah. But yeah, I think Trae Young is probably the one that gets the chopping block, and it could be fairly soon. Like, I don't know if they can go through this year and then a whole nother season of this type of play and not move on from him, or something's some breakup's gonna happen. I think by the trade deadline next year if they don't, become a top 6 seed and figure things out.
I'll just say this.
I was just gonna
what
say.
I'll say is, Charleston agrees. What I'll say to this is I agree on your Trae Young take, but I'll also add that maybe he isn't a championship player, but if Atlanta is the consistently top 5, top 4 seed conversations and getting out of the first round at least every other year, I would consider that a success. I think that brings value to a franchise, that brings value to an organization, that brings value to the market of the NBA. There's only one champion a year, So maybe Trae Young isn't a championship player. But if this team does what Utah did every single year, is competitive and near the top of the East, in the regular season, then I think this duo would be a success, and Trae's value would be significant to other teams. I think that's the bar. be consistently very good and don't make the vibe seem strange every year. I think that should be, a desired result. Not necessarily championship, because I agree with your take, Charlie, but I just want to make this look like not a disaster and a decent overall NBA product.
I think the first step to that is getting more defensive wings then.
AJ Griffin needs to become a good defender. He's got the tools for it.
That's another guy that I really like on that. I like what Atlanta has, man. They have such a nice roster. It's a shame because, like I was saying, all right, Jalen Brown on this Atlanta Hawks roster instead of Trae Young. They're a perennial contender, right?
No, they're a perennial, really good playoff team, not a contender. I think they're like a second round ceiling team.
I think they're a 3 seed in the East.
Philly, Milwaukee, Boston.
Yeah.
But are you subtracting Brown and trading him for Trae or something?
No. I'm just cloning him and adding him to Atlanta and just killing Trae Young off. You know what I mean?
Maybe 5.
DeJounte, Jalen, Hunter, Collins, and Onyeka. You don't think that's something?
Taking that over Milwaukee?
I'm taking it over
Boston?
Philly.
Philly?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
For sure.
All right. I think I'm a little higher on Trae Young than you and a little lower on the Atlanta roster. Zach, anything you want to add?
No, I think you guys got it covered.
Okay, now let's go to the normal series. So this show is probably going to be 2 hours. So you guys want to make this fast. So who would you rather build around? We're going to go there next. And I'm the guy who's bringing up the names for you guys, okay? So the guy I'm talking about today, I don't think we've done this player yet. Jalen Williams.
Not yet, nope.
Who would you rather have on your roster? Who would you rather build around? Who would you rather have in your roster long term? Blah, blah, blah. Who would you rather have on your team? Okay. Jalen Williams or Desmond Bane?
Ooh.
Right now or in the future?
Just now, long term. Who would you rather have in your core?
Jalen. Barely. Jalen.
Yeah, that one's really tough.
Wow.
Bane's been in the league for a little bit longer, but I don't know. I think
Bane's 25.
Yeah, he's had 4 more years of development compared to Williams. I think in 4 years, Williams is better than what Bane is right now. So I would take Williams. That's kind of just my ultimate explanation, I guess. I mean, Bane's a really nice player. He's going to be a 20 per game guy. That's one of the better 3-point shooters in basketball for a while. But I think Williams can be, I think he can legitimately make an all-star game a few times in his career. And I would take that upside over Bane. I don't know how much better Bane gets from this because he's gone through 5 or 6 developmental years already. So I don't know what his peak looks like, but I think Williams I think his peak's better.
Williams has an on-ball game that Bane just doesn't match.
Yeah, and he
even right now, Jalen Williams he can cook on ball. I don't think Desmond Bane can.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Desmond because I think it's getting a little disrespectful in this room. I'll go Desmond Bane. He has gotten a lot better on ball this year. He got a lot better. He is growing on ball at a pretty fast rate these past couple of years.
Yeah.
Make it sound like he just came in and knew how to create off the dribble. He did not. He's developed that late. And you can be a late bloomer in that regard. He's already a 22-point per game scorer, a good secondary playmaker. He defends. I'm not saying he's going to be as well-rounded as Jalen Williams, but Bane is well-rounded. And I think he's already a 22-a-game guy. So I'm going to lean Desmond. I think Jalen Williams can get there and maybe be even a little better, but I'm still going to give Desmond that respect. Okay. Jalen Williams or Jalen Green?
Zach, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, I still like. I'm not. I think the only way you would take like Jalen Williams if you were like fully shut off on Green's talent, that he's not gonna work out, because Jalen Green's got so much talent, and I think at some point when the Rockets can figure it out more around him and put better influences around him, I think he'll start to figure that out as well. Because I mean, there's no legit veteran on that roster. I mean, you got Boban, who's like the only legit vet on that roster, and what is he going to do? Make somebody laugh off the bench when he's talking to him? Like, I think they can figure out the coaching issues. I think the personnel has to change, and over the next 1 to 2 years, assuming hopefully they can land it, if they can land Victor Wembanyama, that'd help out a lot too. But his shot creation ability combined with athleticism, hopefully he gets more mature over time as well. I think, he's still got extremely high potential. I don't think Williams really comes close to that, potential. And I think he can be one of the best scorers in basketball, someday still.
The question is, how much of Jalen Green's problems come from Houston, and how much of them do they just exist in general?
I don't know, because I feel like they all kind of just started to pop up once he came to Houston.
He's a kid.
I agree.
He's a kid who's a raw shot creating archetype that needs to get nurtured regardless of who you are. And it looks like this when it doesn't get nurtured. And he's still averaging 21.7 a night.
I'm going to go Jalen Green because it's kind of the obvious pick. Like, it's the right pick. It's the correct choice, because like Zach was saying, one of them has like all-time scoring type ability, right?
Mm-hmm.
But god damn, he's got some weird problems going on, and I can't tell if it's him or if it's Houston. Jalen Green.
It can be both.
So Jalen Green, for sure. I like Jalen Green a lot. But, like, can you fix the defense and the playmaking and the small, like, shot chucking, please? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll go Jalen. Let's change next. I think it's actually pretty close. I think Jalen Williams has the really high
I'll
floor.
go Jalen. You said
Jalen
I'll go
Williams.
Jalen.
Jalen Green. I'll take Jalen Green.
I'll take Jalen over Jalen.
Yeah, Jalen Green. Okay, I'll lean Jalen Green because I still think his like floor is sort of a Jordan Clarkson type player, and his ceiling is like a better Zach LaVine. So I think you get more upside there with Jalen Williams. Third, Jalen Williams or Jaden McDaniels.
Oh, come on! Why did you gotta do this?
You're gonna embarrass yourself here, buddy.
I don't care.
Man.
Question: do you like defense or offense better when you watch basketball?
I like offense more.
Depends.
Then go with Jalen Williams by like a hair. Jaden McDaniels looks like the inverse of Jalen Williams. He's an elite defender who's got a lot of offensive upside.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Williams looks like he's going to be an elite offensive player with a lot of defensive upside.
Do you think, are we throwing the word elite around a lot now? Like, let's talk elite. What is like, is elite 28 a game to you, or is it?
Elite's 25 a game, which I think Jalen Williams can do.
Ooh, okay. I respect that. He's been great lately.
Jalen Williams, he attacks the rim like a dog, and he can shoot threes. He's drawing free throws. I think he gets a little bit of a rookie whistle, but he draws free throws at a really solid rate for a guard his age. And I love his size. I love his tenacity. He dunks the ball more than any other guard in the league.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
So
yeah,
you're making a choice between, like I just said, and I'll take Jalen Williams by this much.
I respect you. I respect that. No, that's a good take. I don't have a problem with that. Zach.
Mine's also by a hair, and I'm gonna have to go with Jalen Williams. I'm sorry, James. McDaniels has had 2 more years of development. I still have questions, obviously, about McDaniels rebounding and creating for others. I think just Williams is so much more advanced as a rookie than McDaniels is right now when it comes to creating for himself and others. I think he's got a lot of upside defensively as well. If he didn't have that, I'd be taking McDaniels for sure. But I really believe in Williams is a really big defender who's super lengthy, and he showed that a lot at Santa Clara. But I think you're talking about somebody who's going to be averaging 20 a game, who's creating for others, shooting well at all 3 levels, and playing good defense, compared to McDaniels, who I think in 5 years is going to be depends on what he has around him on the Timberwolves roster, but it's not going to be as much as scoring and creating, but it's going to be, defense player of the year caliber defense probably. But I would probably take Jalen Williams over McDaniels.
I respect those takes. I don't have a problem with them because I thought that was a really close question. I think I gave a good question.
That was really close.
I'm going to go Jaden by a hair. Like, it's the same reason. The only reason I'm saying that is because you guys are talking, right, like elite offense, elite deep, right? I think inverse is a great comp because I think Jalen Williams can be a top 25-ish, top 20-ish offensive player in the NBA and be a B-plus defender, right? And I agree. Like, when you have a big, lengthy guy who can play make and do the things he does, like, I get it. I don't have a problem with that. I'll say this, though. Jaden can be actually an elite defender. Like,
Jaden
when you think
is
of
an elite defender.
Best non-big defender, I think you'd have to pick Jaden. In 5 years is the best non-big defender. And he can do big man stuff on defense. And I am a believer in his offensive potential more than the average person because I think he is excellent at absorbing body contact, great touch, can pull up off the dribble, and he can hit threes, and he's a good connective passer. I agree a lot on the rebounding thing. That needs work because he tends to, when he contests on defense, he kind of looks away after, like trying to start a fast break. Needs to hone down a little bit. I truly think Jaden could be a 20-point per game scorer at his peak, 19 to 20 points a game. And you add that to being one of the best defenders in the world. I'm leaning there, but it's really close. I think the only reason is because I think Jaden can be as good on offense as Jalen Williams can on defense, but he can be the best at something. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's really close. That was a really fun question. I love that question. Next one. I think we have 3 guys, right? One more.
Mm-hmm.
One more guy. I'm going to think about this one. Should I stay in that draft 2020? Should I not? I was about to say one guy, but I think we would all agree on this one, so I'm not going to say it. Ooh. Jalen Williams or Franz Wagner?
I would take Wagner. He's already one of the best, like legitimately. I mean, we talked about this on our redraft episode, and I picked him. I think he went like top 15 or something. He's one of the best slashers in basketball already. He's a near 20-point per game scorer. He's efficient on all 3 levels. I think he's got a lot of defensive upside as well as a big forward. I think there's a lot more there with him, and I think he's unlocked that already. I think they're pretty comparable in ages. I don't know how long Wagner was in college for.
That's another point I wanted to mention in the Jaden conversation. Jalen Williams got drafted after playing his junior year in college. Jaden came in as his freshman year. So obviously Jalen Williams is more developed. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, Wagner and they're both 21 years old. But he's going to be, a 20 per game scorer for a long time. And I think that's a little more guaranteed than, what Williams brings to the table. But yeah, I don't think this is one's like a blown out of the water, but I'll take Wagner. I'm a believer.
I'll take Wagner over Jalen Green. So, I mean, obviously, I'm going to go with Wagner over Jalen Williams.
I don't like my pick. I shouldn't have mentioned Wagner. I think we all agree on Wagner.
Yeah, I'll take Wagner for sure. Everything Zach said, just repeat it for what I'm like. Just clip it and then put it over my
and paste it.
Talking. Yeah. No, Franz Wagner can play offense in every way. Like his weakest part is he's not a great shooter yet. He's a good shooter, not a fantastic shooter, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? But in college, he was a great shooter. So
Mhm.
not really something I'm worried about with him. And the real thing with Wagner that I love is he's Jalen Williams, but 3 or 4 inches taller.
Yeah, I agree. I that was
Like
my comp for Jalen Williams after his first month, a smaller Franz Wagner.
Jeez.
like Wagner's 6'9". He's
6'10".
huge. And the way he moves in the perimeter, it's like he's 6'4". It's fantastic. I like Franz Wagner a lot. He's probably the second best player or third best player in his draft class behind Mobley and Cade Cunningham.
I want to do one more really quick. Staying on the team. Jalen Williams or Josh Giddey?
Ooh.
Okay, no, I know who I'll take.
Yeah.
You don't mind.
You go first. I have to think about this one.
Giddey is a guaranteed 16, 8, and 8 with solid defense, great shooting, awesome connective passing, and I think Giddey can play anywhere. Jalen Williams will be a 24-4 guy, 24-5 rebounds, 5 rebounds. He'll be a 24-5 guy, but depending on where he is, that will depend on his value. So I think on Contenders, I'll take Josh Giddey because if Josh Giddey's like in between game. But if you're talking about like we need a guy to start this rebuild and to get everything going, I'll take Jalen Williams.
I disagree with everything you said. No disrespect.
Yeah, you called him a great shooter.
No, I
Giddey,
just didn't agree with one thing. Not even like the way I would take them. I'd Zach, can I step in front of you on this one first?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay. So I would rather take Giddey if I'm trying to like start from the ground up.
Really?
Because he is an on-ball playmaker at heart who isn't a great shooter. And he doesn't really like to defend that much. Maybe one day he will, but he doesn't right now. But he is definitely just a basketball genius. So Giddey, I think, is the guy you need to have more of a heart of your offense than a Jalen Williams. And I also would disagree. I think Jalen Williams has more playmaking upside than people think because he is a pick and roll maestro. He is just like watching his college tape. He is such an awesome playmaker in the pick and roll. And I think I would lean Giddey but for like entirely different reasons because Giddey has grown his scoring really fast this year, and that's what's really making me buy into him. And I'm not sure if he'll ever be a great defender, but he's 6'9" and strong, so he should be okay on defense if he just focuses. And
I think a lot of the
Giddey, if I'm like building a foundation, I'd rather like throw Jalen Williams in my basketball team because he does everything well, and he could be a good defender because he's 6'6" with a 7'2" wingspan. So I would rather have Giddey, but I would rather have him as a foundation than Williams. Whereas I would rather throw Williams on whatever team, like a Tyrese Halliburton in a way, and you know he'll be pretty good.
I'll make this not a strikeout. I'll take Williams. He's been a more efficient scorer this season. I believe in his offense, like his scoring ability a lot more in the future. I think he's going to be a much better defender as well. I think he's also going to be a really nice secondary, creator and playmaker. But I think he's just going to be a really nice two-way player in general because I think he's going to provide awesome defense with his size and length. Compared to Giddey, I don't believe in the defense as much. And I think he's going to be a really great scorer on all 3 levels. He's super efficient for a rookie. I don't know his true shooting is, but his efficiency is like 56%. EFG, which is that's really, really good, especially from a rookie who's.
I think it's like at 58.5. I think that's his true shooting.
Yeah. That's really good for a rookie on a team that maybe at times can be force-fed reps. So I think he's pretty legit as a player. And I would probably take him over Giddey, but just a little bit though. But I can understand, Giddey.
One thing about the shooting. Giddey is not a great shooter, but he's much improved from last year. He started off the season shooting pretty averagely, but I think in January and February, he was up to like 37%. He's at 32 right now.
Yeah.
I just meant as of late, I've seen the shooting kind of
Gotcha.
spike up a
I
little.
agree. And I'll also
And
say
then-
one thing. Giddey is almost 2 years younger than Jalen Williams. Just want to say that.
Yes.
That's the other thing I was gonna say. Giddey is young as hell, dude. He 6'9", point guard, basketball savant, improving every single game. It's hard to go against Giddey. That's it. That's all I can say.
So you and I both agree on Giddey, and Zach got Williams.
Yeah.
All right. So that was a fun series. I think Jalen Williams was a fun pick. I think that was our most controversial guy on this series.
You gotta grab a role player next time, like Josh Hart. We gotta go do Josh Hart next time.
All right, Zach, it's your show this week. It's my show next week. So you're giving us players, and we got to tell you what draft pick they were. How should we do this game? I think the way we should do this game is you pick. So one of us has to. How do you want to do this, Zach? We haven't talked about this. Do you want this to be like one of us has the first pick, and if we get it wrong, then the other person can correct and get 2 points?
Yeah, we could do say it's your pick first, and then if you can't get it, then it goes to Charlie, and then I don't know, maybe he gets more points if you can't get it than what you could get. Okay, so you'll get 1 point if you can guess it correctly, and he'll get 2 points if he steals your pick and gets it. All right, and I got scoreboard ready. So are we ready?
So everyone knows. James knows. Wait, James. There we go. I'm pointing at James right now.
Yeah.
James knows a lot more about drafts than I do. So if I look like a fool here, it's not because I don't know basketball. It's because James spends his free time watching the draft for some reason.
He watches draft highlights.
1965.
So that was a pandemic, man. You wonder why I gained 20 pounds during the pandemic. I blame the drafts.
Just sitting on his couch watching 2012 draft, eating a tub of ice cream.
Yep. Honestly, that's kind of accurate. I'm actually really sad to say this. I didn't do that all the time. I would also microwave M&Ms, but I definitely
those are fire. No, those are fire. I respect that.
Microwave M&Ms and whipped cream. I'm telling you.
Let's do it. Play this game.
All right. So James is up first. The first player we're going with is, what pick was Julius Randle?
7.
Correct. All right, Charlie, you're up next. Kemba Walker.
God damn. 9.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Then we got.
Wait, what were we playing? Do first 2 to 10 or 20?
Let's go to 10 because I don't know if I have enough players for 20. I can find more, but all right. James, Clint Capella.
27.
Wrong. So Charlie
39.
can steal that.
Dang it.
He was 26.
Nope. Do we go back? So do we go back to James now?
Sure. How about we make it a half a point if I get it right?
Now it's half a point. So it's not 27. It's not 26.
29.
Nope.
28.
Nope.
Really? Oh my gosh. Okay, we got that wrong. What pick was he?
Yeah.
He was 25.
Oh my gosh. Robert Williams is 27.
Wait, so let's make it so that it's 1 point for James if he gets it right, 2 points for me if I get it right.
Now you get first pick. Now you get first pick. Because
No, I know, but what I'm saying is so let's say, right, we go back to the question, right? It's 1 for James if he gets it right, 2 for me for the second guess.
Mm-hmm.
Half a point for James if he gets it right on the third guess. And do I get 1 full point for getting it right on the fourth?
Probably.
Yeah.
Is that how we're doing it?
Yeah.
Let's
do that.
Okay, just making sure.
All right. So now it's Charlie's turn, and we're gonna go with, what pick was Nick Stauskas?
Nick Stauskas? The sauce god?
I said that wrong. Nick Stauskas. I don't want to say his name for some reason.
He wasn't 11, was he?
Nope.
That's
He
a
was
bummer.
8, sir.
Yep.
He went to Sacramento and played horribly, so who gives a shit?
All right.
Sorry.
All right. James,
Pete?
what pick was Malcolm Brogdon?
I actually know this.
I
34.
might know this because he's on his team now.
34.
Nope.
35.
Nope.
What?
45.
Nope. Last chance here. Malcolm Brogdon.
32.
Nope. He went in the second round, but 36.
I was so close.
Really, really close. All right. Who's up now?
I think it's my turn.
All right. All right.
Wait, is it my turn or is it Charlie's turn?
Oh, yeah. Wait.
It's Charlie's.
Yeah, Charlie's. Okay. What pick was Jalen Brunson?
James.
He was drafted pretty recently.
Yeah, but
2019.
Jalen Brunson's one of those dudes that I just.
Well, no, like recently, like last 5 years, because he was in our one of our recent shows is top 25 redraft picks, whatever it
Was
was.
he 2018?
Yeah,
Can't remember. I think so.
18.
Yeah, he was 2018. 27.
Nope.
34.
Nope.
He's in the first round, right? Is he a second round pick? He was a second rounder?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How good was Dallas in 2018? They were probably pick 41.
Nope.
35. 35.
Nope. He was picked 33.
Oh my gosh. I keep getting like within
I
one.
didn't know he was a second rounder. I thought he went 9 or 28.
Did
Who's
Devontae
up
Graham
now?
go after him at 34 then?
Who?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, I was thinking Graham was one pick before. All right. So it's my turn. 3-1.
All right. 3-1. James is in the lead. What pick was Rudy Gobert?
27.
Yeah. All right. What pick was Andre Drummond?
Four.
Nope.
9.
Yep.
6.
Okay.
Why do you get Gobert and I get Drummond, bro?
I wasn't expecting it to be like this, so I'm like trying to make it even as we go. What pick, James? I'll give you a hard one. What pick was Dylan Brooks?
42.
Nope.
47, I think.
Nope.
41.
Nope.
45.
Yep. 45.
Dang it. Okay, you got 2 points.
I
Got 2-6.
I knew it was either 45 or 47.
All right. What pick was Grant Williams?
Is this me?
22.
Yeah, it was Charlie.
22.
Yep.
I know that one because he plays for the Celtics.
7-3?
I was super mad when we drafted him.
7-3. 6-3.
All right. What pick was DeJounte Murray, James?
29.
Yep. All right. So you have 7. You need 10 to win. I'm going to try to get Charlie back in here a little bit. What pick was Josh?
That is so bad. Just pick a player, dude. That is so neat.
What pick was Josh Jackson?
Wait.
Stop cursing.
Sorry. He was 4.
Yep.
You're such a nasty piece of stuff.
Hey, the fact that I almost got that wrong is so sad.
I was
Dude,
not
so
expecting the
nasty.
segment to be
Oh my
like this.
gosh.
I
So
thought you guys
nasty.
were gonna have to like the first one who guesses it was gonna have to do instead of this whole thing, so I didn't really prepare for
Oh, he's
it.
acting like he's been giving me easy picks.
All right.
You gave me Rudy Gobert, not Andre Drummond.
You got Gobert and DeJounte Murray. Those are both easy picks.
All right. James is up. You're up 7-4. Nick Claxton, where was he?
31st.
Yep. I don't know how you got that, but that's crazy. All right.
I have no idea when he was picked. I thought he was like 48.
Let's see. I'm trying to, because I'm kind of out of players.
I'm out of players.
We got too many wrong.
Let's see. Let's go with Jonathan Isaac.
Jonathan Isaac. I know for a fact that I'm gonna get this wrong, and it's gonna be the exact opposite one because there's two numbers in my head, and it's one of those two. He was drafted with the 6th pick.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The other number in my head was 7.
Yeah, 7 that year was.
Bo Baba. No. Wendell Carter Jr. No.
Yeah, it was
no.
Carter Jr. was 8.
No, that was no, he wasn't. He was 7.
Who was 8?
Actually, I can't
What year are
remember
we talking about?
Markkinen went 7 that year.
17?
Is that right?
Yeah, Markkinen went 7. Wendell went 8.
No, Wendell went the year after.
Frank Ntilikina, Harvey. I don't say his name.
Ntilikina went 8.
Yeah. Isaac 6, Markkinen 7, Frank 8, Dennis Smith Jr. 9.
Okay, yeah, all right.
All right, so now it's James. All right. James would have won, by the way, if you would have guessed that wrong, because I know he was going to get Jonathan Isaac at 6. Let's go with, for James, Myers Leonard.
12.
Nope.
I think it's the wrong Leonard.
I
think it's the wrong Leonard. Is it the really big white guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was 9.
He was a first rounder. I know that.
9, I meant 12.
He wasn't 9 or 12. Myers Leonard was like.
Wasn't he 12?
Myers Leonard?
Nope. I'm looking at it right now.
13.
Nope.
What was he?
The lottery.
Well, you got one more guess, both of you.
No, I already made. Oh, okay.
You have another guess.
14.
Nope.
$11.
Yep.
Dang. So
I knew he was a lottery pick. I knew he was late lottery.
9-7?
8-6 now in the scoreboard. All right, so if Charlie gets this one wrong, James has a chance to win it. And we're going to go with Will Barton.
Ooh. I actually don't know.
This one's probably the toughest one I've asked.
Will Barton wasn't a lottery pick. He wasn't in the first round. He was early second, like 30. Let's go 34.
Nope. Chance to win, James.
37.
Nope.
He's not clutch. No, 31.
Nope. You can get 1 point here, James, if you get it.
44.
Early first.
Nope. He went 40th overall.
Yeah.
All right.
I knew he was late second.
I knew he was second too.
I'll keep doing hard ones, so like it's hard. I don't know. So just so James can't guess right away, but we're gonna go with Hassan Whiteside.
Oh, 34. That's easy.
Yeah.
Nope. What? Oh,
Nope.
I know the answer. Dang it. I know the answer. Oh,
35.
Nope.
Ah! He didn't go 35?
Nope. That was Belicia.
Huh.
So was
38.
Bielitsa?
What'd you say?
He said 38.
No, it wasn't 38.
Hassan Whiteside. 2012, right?
2010 draft.
He's old. $42.
Nope. He was. I gotta scroll back to that one. I was trying to look for somebody else. He was 33. James was one off, man.
I keep getting one off.
He was so confident. All right. Let's go with. I'm trying to find like guys that you won't think of right away.
We don't have enough players. Now let's just do 50 players. Find the hardest ones.
All right. Let's go with Jeremy. I don't know.
Jeremy Grant, 46.
Let's go with DeLon Wright.
DeLon Wright, 46. Was he first?
No, we're doing DeLon Wright.
Okay.
No, I was looking at I had somebody else that it was Jermaine Grant, and this DeLon Wright was not second round. He was not second round.
You said Jerian Grant?
Yeah, I don't, but I'm going with DeLon Wright here because I thought that was Jermaine Grant. I wanted to go with like a more relevant player right now.
DeLon Wright, he was 28, 27.
Nope.
Stop cursing on this, bro.
I'm sorry.
I can't get this to like somebody for a resume now. Come on.
Sorry.
All right.
Canceled.
You can win right here, James. You can
18.
stick it to him if you guess it right now. DeLon Wright.
18.
Nope.
23.
Nope.
19.
Nope. He was 20th.
One off, James.
I keep getting one off.
All right, James. I think this is your turn, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Jeff Teague.
You went 19.
Yep. All right.
I got one right.
All right, Charlie. Let's go with Patrick Beverly.
That's nasty. I know the answer.
Was he undrafted?
No, he was drafted.
41st.
46.
42nd.
Yep.
I think I won. That's 10.
That's
Yes,
game.
sir. All right.
What was the final score?
10-6.
I'll take it. I did better than I thought I would.
Ah, man. He went hard. He was like DeLon Wright.
Although, hey, I was gifted like 2 because Josh Jackson and Jonathan Isaac were kind of low-key easy. So thank you, Zach, for being a gracious host. And I will remember to get you back when we do this again. James, you will be getting questions like, hey, James, when was Miles – wait, what was his name? Who's the guard? Damn it. McBride. Miles McBride. When was
36.
Miles McBride drafted?
36.
Oh, there's no way you got that right.
Where is it? Hold up. Yeah.
45.
I hate you, James.
Was that
Yeah,
right?
I hate you.
To end the show, I mean, we can just end off on the thoughts that Daniel Jones is now making $40 million a year.
Ain't no way.
Yep.
Just now?
4 years, $160 million.
The Minnesota Vikings just saved the NFC East. Because of those 2 dumb games, Daniel Jones just made $40 million a year. And that is already the worst contract in the NFL.
Good
Saquon
for
Barkley
him.
gets the
Good
tag.
for him, though. Good for him. Good for him. Lamar Jackson got franchise tag.
Oh, and this Daniel Jones deal, it can reach $195 million.
Oh, gosh. So that's like 160's low bar. Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Yo,
Dude.
who's paying Daniel Jones this much money?
Why would you not just go for Baker Mayfield for like $3 million?
Or Jimmy Garoppolo?
For some reason, people are to not bash Daniel Jones would bash Kirk Cousins. I don't know. Like, I would rather pay Kirk 195 than Daniel Jones.
I would rather pay neither 195.
But Kirk is closer to that. Kirk is closer to that. But
Kirk Cousins is an almost top 10 quarterback. Congratulations. He's
and
like
Daniel's
number
almost
11.
top 15. Congrats.
Outplayed
All
by
right,
Jared
y'all.
Goff.
Jared Goff is top half, but
Jared Goff was top 10 this year. He was fantastic.
He was. All right, guys. So that was a very long episode, 225.
Wow.
Whoops.
But that was really fun. And I think this draft pick trivia thing is going to keep going. I think it was a great concept.
I hope not, because I got destroyed.
Yeah, come back next week to
know.
see me lose to James.
I want to know, guests are 0-1 and Zach is 0-0 still. Next week it'll be Zach instead of me.
Yeah.
So Zach will have a chance to even up.
Oh, I'll have a chance, you're saying, next week because I'm not playing you.
That's not what I'm
watching. Zach's about to watch every single draft from the last 10 years over and over again. He's going to have it playing while he's.
What pick was Sean Bradley?
20. Two.
I mean, he's 7'6". That makes sense. You know who else is a 7-foot tall player? You know who else is a 7'6" tall player who's going to go top 2, even though he might get hurt?
Oh, Victor Wembanyama. Ain't the same, though. When Sean Bradley got drafted, he was coming off of spending 2 years in Australia and a missionary trip.
Sean Bradley's a weird draft pick. He was a weird draft pick for sure.
All right, y'all, but it was good. This is going to be a very long episode, taking a lot of gigs on my computer, but we'll be okay. And we'll see everybody next week. Maybe Charlie will probably be back very soon to lose to me in draft trivia. And
I hope not. Let me play Zach next week.
Yeah.
It'll be great. Wait, we can do a little test on Zach right now. 2 picks. What pick is Josh Hart, Zach?
7.
30.
Oh my God, I was so off.
What pick was Kobe White?
Kobe White. Oh, I should know this one. I think that was 8.
7. Okay.
7. Okay. I knew the range that he was in.
I'm not intimidated by Zach. Long story
short. Yeah, I know
short.
you're not.
I could give you the range of like plus or minus 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Second round for me. Second round, I struggle.
Yeah, I'd hope you
All right.
struggle.
Yeah, well, you're mean. Okay, so we'll see everybody next week to settle this.